Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Paranormal Round Table. I'm your host, Josh Turner. That in the background, someone blowing their nose, as you could hear. But now he says you couldn't hear it, but I acknowledged it. It still happened. If a tree falls in the forest and blah, blah, blah. Broken clocks and whatever. So anyways, folks, Josh Turner at PRTpodcast.com, Josh Turner at PRTpodcast.com. That's the email address to hit me up if you want to tell me your story, or you can tell it on Messenger. I am okay with that, but email, Messenger, I am backed up with stories, but if you have a story to tell, let me know, because you never know. I get stories all the time, and some of them are like, gonna tell this story, and some of them are like, just depends. I got a crazy story from two days ago that I'm dying to tell, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait, because I don't know if I can use this person's name or if he wants to come on the show and talk about it, but pretty cool either way. But we got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to have a guest that's going to come on, and she's going to talk about the murders of the LBL, the beasts of the LBL. She is actually a remote viewer who has remote viewed the murders and killings of the LBL. I'm here to tell you right now, folks, that I have talked to two remote viewers. One in particular, his name was Dennis. I don't know if I should go any further than that. That's his real name. But we had talked about him coming on the show, and then it just never happened. I don't know if he really is comfortable with talking about his past and what he's done to get to where he's at. But he did remote view my encounter, and he was spot on about several details. Clothing I wore, which I had never talked about in any of the magazines or the magazine article I did, or any of the interviews I've done. None of the shows I've been on, I haven't talked about that, or the color of the house that was next door to my friend's house, and he got it right. So I don't know, man. Pretty spooky. Jonathan Driller, thank you for that donation. Donations are greatly appreciated right now going into the conference, because did the math. I'm not going to break even. So yeah, that's. But it is the first conference. It is the first one. So here is the shirt. This one here, this is the shirt right here. You see it? I don't know if you can see it. It says on there, it's hard to see, but it says at the bottom, Dogman Cryptid Conference 2022, Paris, Tennessee. And it says up here, Paranormal Round Table presents. And this is the werewolf that Barton Nunley drew. This is Barton Nunley's artwork. This is a shirt that's going to be a Dogman Conference exclusive. Okay? Hey, and Anthony or Scorpion, they're in the audience, in the office with me. If one of y'all could bring me the hats that we're going to be showing there at the conference, and the tumblers. Got to show you these before we bring on some people. I'm going to have a few people come on and say hi, and then I'm going to have a guest. She's going to do, we're going to talk. Curtis Turner says 4 days until it goes down. It's a 9 to 12 hour drive. Yeah, for me it's 14, but we're going to be driving up to Fort Worth. We're all going to stay at Lyle's. And then me, Ken Gerhardt, Lyle Blackburn, Nick Redfern, and my crew, we're all going to ride together. I literally just got the phone with Nick Redfern. He's excited. He's like, hey, it's going to be fun, a road trip, whatever. Ryan Edwards is going to go. I don't know if he's going to ride with us or if he's got his own ride, but Josh Anokia was supposed to fly into Austin. The flights got kind of jacked up, so I think he's going to go and head on to Kentucky and meet us there. My caterer's set to go. He's going to be there a day early. I'll meet Ken here in Austin on Thursday, and then I'm out. So it's all coming down. It's coming together. We're going to see what happens. I'm ready to get this done. So everybody. So let me get started real quick with something. First things first. This is what you're going to get. If you can, yes, please turn the light on. Right here. Oh, the color looks so more vibrant. the lights are on. See that right there? Look at that. It's leather. This is a Paranormal Round Table Dogman 2022 conference exclusive. You can only get those at the conference. And check out this bad boy right here. Isn't that cool? I want to thank Seven Clay. They did an excellent job. Seven Clay is a local company I use out of Round Rock. They did the barbed wire with the camo, and they got the. Isn't that cool? So that's one of the hats right there, and this is the other hat that are going to be being sold. The trucker style hat, and then this one with the barbed wire. And we're going to be selling these at the conference. There's going to be the giveaways too. These are the tumblers. Check these out. Logo on one side, logo on the other. That's the maroon one. Then we have the blue, the powder blue. Logo on both sides. Then we have, of course, everybody loves black. There's black. Isn't that cool? And then we got this one right here. And then we're going to have a Barton Nunley shirt that he is going to be with the cover of Inhumanoids that will be ready tomorrow, and I'll be bringing that along with all kinds of other merch that we're going to have at the conference. A lot of conference exclusives. Yes, patches. Curtis Turner, patches. We are going to have patches there at the conference for sale. We are going to have a lot of stuff for sale. If you're a VIP, though, you're going to get a few things for free. A couple little, things here and there. I'm also bringing a lot of Texas stuff. And so it's going to be cool. It's going to be a good time. I hope everybody can go that wants to go. Somebody says, I guess Ryan Tremblay backed out. What does that mean? Oven comas. Hey, can I get my glasses? Thank you. I don't know what that means, Ryan Tremblay. Ryan Tremblay was never, I don't think he was ever on board with going to the conference. I invited him, but he never showed much interest in it. Ryan is kind of, he's gone his own way since he's got his own show now with Ashley Hilt. They're doing Monster Radio, and so they're kind of doing their own thing. And that's fine. I mean, we're not enemies. We just really aren't working together anymore. He just kind of stopped showing up in the chat, and that's fine. He's got his own thing going on, and I'm okay with that. I don't care. I support him, whatever he decides to do. He doesn't have to work with me for us to be friends. So, just reading the comments here, letting people fill up in the chat. So let's get started, dude. Let's get started here. The first thing I want to do. So some people had tried to change their tier. You want to explain it, Anthony, what happened to the Patreon? Because I got a bunch of Patreon people telling me stuff. I don't know. Because our Patreon has gone way down. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, there's like half of the people are gone. I don't know. Did you want to explain the Patreon? Because like this used to be an entire page, and now it's like there's a bunch of people gone, and people are saying that their names aren't being read, and I don't know what's going on here. Well,
if you're on Patreon, and you'll notice there's different tiers of Patreon supporters, but I think what some of y'all did is like, say some of y'all started out maybe as $5 or $10 supporters, but instead of switching your tier to the executive producer or the what do we call it, or the PRT VIP tier, I think what you might have done is you just went and edited the amount that you pledged, and Patreon kind of is weird about that, so it might have kind of kicked your name out of the off of the list here. Let me see if I can fix it. Here, let me try this. All tiers. Pledge.
They were trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. So just keep reading the names until you get to the
I'll do
$5.
Okay. Not that if you're only doing 5 or 3 or whatever, it's not like it's not appreciated.
Oh, it's still much appreciated.
We just don't have the time to. So we'll start with Titan, Susan Woodcarver, Taylor, Alexandra Orick, Gwen Sorensen, Mona Tabor, Jason Paul Tyson, Tim Bernard, Adam Jinks, which I haven't forgot about you, Adam. I need to send your bill. Just been busy with the conference. Andrew, Brady Matsunaga, David Vigil, Debbie Wolf, Dorothy Metcalf, Enid Kinley, Fat Squatch, Jim Kovach, Joyce Burnett, Lauren Russo, Maynard W., Melissa, Michael Turner, Miguel Guerra, Pam Willard Wittes, Polly G., Peter Harlamos, Ricardo Ramirez, Spencer Riley, Steven Rivas. Might want to let me know how to say your name. Stevan, I don't know. Vicky Walker, Tim Lewis, Barbara Blindy, Cassidy Lee, Charles Hamill, Cluffy Source Rex, Curtis Turner, Cirilli, David Allman, Dead Man Walking, Deborah Patterson, Derek Tribble, Dick Richards, Gloria Smith, Graydon McKee, Guy, Helder Ortega, James Estrada, Kenny Irish, Christy, Martin Hertel, Mary Plyler. Matthew Durgo, Melissa Koyman, Mimi Piccolelli, Ricardo Herrera, Shonda Hardinger, Sonia Girding, Super Hornet 1, Terry Fuselier, Pauline Rome. So those are our VIP and executive producers that help the show by being Patreon supporters. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to make a couple calls here. Steve Stockton is ill. He cannot make it to the conference, and I am saddened by that. It really sucks that he's not going to be able to make it. I was really looking forward to him going, and he ended up with COVID. So keep him and his girlfriend in your prayers. So let me see if I can get these people on the line here.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, Elijah, how you doing,
buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, my friend.
So tonight's theme was kind of, because we're going to be in the LBL this coming weekend, and you're going to be there, right?
Absolutely, barring my car explodes or something like that.
Well, we'll have to figure out a way to get you another car because we got to have you there. So Elijah, you live right there. Like you live in Kentucky, right?
Well, I live in Clarksville, Tennessee, but it's about 50 minutes to an hour from LBL, so it's not much of a trip at all. The worst thing is I drive through Dover to the southern section and then all the way to the top through the Trace, so that makes it a long trip. But actually, to Land Between the Lakes, it's not that bad.
Yeah. So you and Barton are personal friends in real life, and you guys hang out in the LBL quite a bit, right?
Absolutely. I guess it was a couple of months ago we actually went camping up close to Hotel California, and we checked that out at night, and it is creepy up there, but it's a pretty good camp out.
Yeah, and that is a place where a lot of people claim to have experiences too. Hotel California is like this it's like a cement building, isn't it, or something?
So it's like you said, a cement building. It's a 2-story. What it was a gentleman built a house back in the day, and it's really aged very poorly. But it's just a 2-story concrete house off in the woods. You have to hike down to get to it, and there's a road or two that you can get down there. But yeah, supposedly it's a pretty good spot for Dogman activity. I've heard a thing or two, and if anybody wants to go listen to his story, Dogman Narratives on YouTube, they have a story about Hotel California couple getting kind of caught by something up there. It was trying to sniff them out.
Well, I'd be glad my house didn't get built there if I was that guy. Or maybe he's the dog man. Maybe he's building it because he's one of them. I don't know. So you're going to be up there. You were recently on a show. It was called American Werewolves, right?
Yes, I was actually. Is a Seth Breedlove and oh goodness, sorry, what was that? Yeah, it's a Small Town Monster production. I'm sorry, I was trying to remember one of the other names, but Seth Breedlove produced it, and he did a really amazing job. But he basically went across different sites in America where there's been a history of Dogman sightings, and the LBL was one of them. And he had me interview me about the area, and a gentleman who had an encounter there named Martin Groves, and his encounter is just amazing. I hope he'll be at the con and we can shoot the breeze with him for a while.
He said he would. I messaged him the other day. We were talking, or he messaged me, whatever. But then I was talking with him. But yeah, Martin is extraordinary. And he said he's going to be there at the conference. Folks, there's going to be a lot of people at this conference. A who's who of the cryptid world is going to be there. So I've invited other people who aren't even going to speak, but there are several people who are. Now, Elijah, you're going to be on the panel, right?
I am going to be on the panel at 6 p.m., I believe it is.
Yeah, that's on Saturday, but you're going to be at the VIP dinner, too, on Friday, right?
Yeah, I'll leave here probably about 4 o'clock just so I have plenty of time to get down there, but I plan to be there. Yeah,
and so the VIP, if you're a VIP, then you're getting a free dinner on me, and you get to hang out with all the participants and speakers without everybody else around. But then on Saturday, it's going to be everybody, and there's going to be a big old, because there's some people that aren't going to go for the Friday, even though they are VIP. They were saying, hey, we're just going to go, But if you're VIP, it's going to be really cool, because when we get there on Friday, we're going to have food and everything, and we're all going to, and then Saturday is going to be the big deal when everybody speaks, and we're going to have a panel and everything. It says, Grace W. says, I saw Elijah in that movie the other day. He was great. Can't wait for the conference. I can't wait for the conference either, because I'm going to get to meet all these people I've been working with and talking to for so long. I mean, it feels like, me and you've been talking for 2 or 3 years, and it's like we haven't met, but it's been over a year. When I met
I'm
you,
looking forward to it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you're the late Johnny Henderson. You and him are the ones that founded the Cryptid Studies Institute, right? Together.
Well, yeah, he was the founder of it, and I helped him co-run it, but as he has passed now, I own it, and me and my sister, Gabrielle Henderson, we both run it now, and time is kind of a factor in getting content out and whatnot, but we try our best to get out in the woods and do research and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And Gabby will be there too, right? She's going to be at the conference?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. So I just wanted to touch base with you and check in with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there and meeting you in person. I had many conversations with you and Johnny, the whole thing, with the witness Roger, and we all, worked together. And unfortunately, your father passed away, but I had COVID the same time he did, and it was so weird. And then at the same time, my former co-host passed away from it too, like 2 days from your dad. And it was just, but anyways, I wanted to give, a lot
of people caught at the same time.
They did. And, but I wanted to give credit and props to your dad for, he was a good man. He was a great man. And I only wish that he could go and be there with us, at the conference.
I appreciate the kind words, though, but I'm looking forward to meeting you in person, though.
Yeah. And so, and we will be there Friday. So, Elijah, thank you for agreeing to go and speak, and we can't wait to see you.
Hey, it's no problem. I appreciate y'all inviting me.
Okay. I'll see you, man.
See you, man.
All right, bye. So that was Elijah Henderson. He's going to be one of the speakers at the conference. his dad was a good friend of mine. I considered him a good friend. I thought he was a very honorable individual, a good man. Johnny Henderson, he passed away last August. I was looking at the list of people that we lost in August. We lost Scott Martis last August, not from COVID, but he had an injury in his leg that got infected, and he was a good friend of mine. And then we lost Johnny Henderson, and we lost Armando Salazar, my former co-host, both of them to COVID. Remember, folks, COVID is still out there, and so if you're going to come to the conference, make sure you're not showing any symptoms, please. Make sure that you're in good health and you're not sick, and if you are, get a COVID test. And if you have COVID, please stay at home. And if you don't feel comfortable, then please, by all means, wear a mask. I mean, it's up to you. It's your choice, because we can't enforce it, but it's strongly recommended if you feel uncomfortable in a large group. That's what we're doing. So that was Elijah Henderson. Wanted to touch base with him. And so I'm going to make another call here. See if I can get this. Michelle Burns says, can't wait for the conference this weekend. VIP, baby. Yep. It's going to be epic. Artistic Bunny, thank you for that donation. Everybody that's donated, thank you so much. It's all going to go toward the same place and getting this conference done. There's going to be a bunch of people there. I just earlier talked to Lyle Blackburn. I talked to Nick Redfern. They're both excited about it and ready to go. Lyle is moving right now as we speak. He's in the process of moving. So, yeah. And we got Nick Valenti, who's going to be there. Nick Redfern. I just talked to him a minute ago. And he's not at home. He said if he was, he would jump on for a minute. But before I bring my guest on, let me try this again. Okay. So then let me try this. Let's call this person while we're waiting on the other person. This thing just keeps ringing. I just talked to this person, so. Okay, so I just talked to him. His phone's not ringing. I don't know what's going on with this Facebook Messenger. It always does weird stuff. Let's try it again. No, it's not working through Facebook Messenger. So we're gonna have to do what we did the other day, and we're just gonna call him. Just call him like this, and this is what we'll do. There's more than one ways to skin a cat. I always hated that saying.
Hello.
Hey, Barton, what's going on?
Hey, Josh, how's it going?
It's good, man. I was trying to call you through Facebook Messenger, and it just wasn't going through. I don't know what's going on with that.
Right, yeah. Facebook's all messed up.
Yeah.
Sometimes, anyway.
So,
how's everybody doing? How's all the paratroopers doing tonight? The OT family.
Everybody's good, I hope. I got about 280 in the chat room, and so I just wanted to touch base with you. I just called Elijah because you guys are the local boys that are going to be there. And
right.
So, what can we expect from you? You're at the conference. What are you going to be talking about? What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to be talking about what I know, brother, and what I know to be true and what I know to be real. So I'll be talking about the Spotsville monsters and a little bit about the LBL. I've never seen a Dogman. It's one of the few cryptids that I haven't encountered in some way or another, but my mother claimed to see one when she was 10 right here in Henderson County. So, and as you know, there's two different types of creatures that were seen in Spotsville back in 1975. One was a typical Bigfoot type creature, and the other one was more of like a dog man without the ears. So I'll be speaking about that. So those are the things that I know to be true and I know to be real. So that's what I'll be talking about.
And you're writing, you're in the process of writing the book about the Spotsville monster too, am I correct?
Right. Yes, that's correct.
Are you going to kill that thing too?
No, I don't mess with Bigfoot. Josh, I know better than to mess with Bigfoot. Dogman, I'm hoping I have a chance against, but the Bigfoot, no way.
Well, okay, that's a question for the audience right now that I'd like to get into for just a minute while I'm talking to you. What's the difference between having to take on a Dogman and a Bigfoot, in your opinion?
So I'm hoping the Dogman is a purely physical creature created by genetic tampering by the government, at least one type of it. And I hope the type that's down to LBL is that type, then I think I have a chance. But these Bigfoot, they're completely something different. They have abilities which defy any biological explanation or scientific explanation. And so they also exhibit some forms of mind control. I don't know if you've ever heard of anybody claiming that they were zapped or whatever, but yeah, so something that can instantly put fear into me. And I've had it happen before. I couldn't see the creatures, but I sure felt the fear. And there shouldn't be any noise at all that would make a man feel like he's, getting ready to get killed. But that's what happens. So anything that can do that I'm probably not going to be very good. Even though I have a brand new sword, I'll be bringing it down to the conference.
Yeah.
So when if I touch anything with it, it's pretty much a mortal wound. So I'm gonna go down one more time to LBL this fall and give it one more shot before I get too old. I'm thinking I'm getting too old to be doing all this crazy stuff, but I'm give it one more shot and see how it works out. So I've been down there 3 or 4 times already, and nothing's happened yet. So.
And are you and Nick Valenti still going to arm wrestle? Because y'all supposed to get in there and arm wrestle.
No, I'm 56-year-old, brother. I probably have a stroke or something. I'm not like I'm 40 anymore, so I won't be doing any arm wrestling. But, not that I think that I'm even, less than I was before, but I'm a little too old for all that.
Well, and Valenti's your age. I mean, y'all are both in your mid-50s, right. So it'll be evenly matched.
Yeah.
You work in a physical job all the time, and Nick works out all the time. So you guys are pretty evenly. I think you guys would be evenly matched.
I think so.
Yeah, but I get the winner, so.
Yeah, no way, dude.
So.
No way do I want any of that.
Yeah, well, I've had gout in this arm, so I mean, I've only had about 3 or 4 good workouts, and I'll have probably another one tomorrow. So I only have about 4 going. So I had to take about a month off. I was cruising, doing really good. My blood pressure was good, and all of a sudden I had this elbow problem. and then everything just kind of, and laying around for a month is hard, dude. Because you can't even do legs because you have to hold the machines and move the plates and stuff. And I tried to go in early and do legs before my arm was healed, and I said, I can't even do this. So I couldn't do anything but lay around, and then my freaking blood pressure started going back up, and my anxiety came back. But finally back in the gym. And I'm doing what, I'll be working out tonight and tomorrow and being ready for the conference, because I want to look good, so.
Right. Well, I don't think you have to worry about that, Josh. You're a handsome fellow. You look great.
Oh, well, thank you, Barton.
I've never worked out myself personally.
But you got some muscles. I mean, I saw you like when we did that show last October with Ken and Lyle, and you flexed before the show. I was like, wow, that's pretty good. Because you took my PRT shirt and you ripped the sleeves off of it. And I was like, dang.
That's hard. Those are from a hard life, man. Hard work.
That's what my brother.
I've never been the type that felt the need to actually go in the gym and lift weights. I do a few chin-ups every now and then, push-ups or something. I feel like I'm getting too out of shape, but that's about it.
Yeah, my brother never wears a shirt with sleeves if he can help it. It's hard to get him to even work with us. And he's like, I was going to tell you, too, one of the listeners, if you go to the Paranormal Round Table group on Facebook that you guys are all members of,
Right.
one of the listeners' child, he went to sleep holding your book in Humanoids. I thought that was.
Right, I saw that this morning. That was such a sweet thing to start my day up.
Yeah, that was cool, man. I thought
made my day really.
And folks, I can tell you this: back in 2013, I read, I think it was 12 or 13. I read in Humanoids. And had read a lot of books up to that point. I'd read a couple Lauren Coleman. I'd read a few other books about Bigfoot, Dogman. I'd read Ken Gerhardt. I guess yours was the pivotal one. I've read all these different books from all these different authors, but I still say that In Humanoids was my number one. I absolutely said that.
Man, that's an honor. That's really an honor to hear that, and I appreciate you saying that.
Well, I read that book.
Much better writers than I am.
You're a good writer, and you did a good job. And there were stories in there that hit home to me because I had collected many stories over the years, and some of them kind of meshed with what I had heard, and I thought, man, this is incredible because some of this stuff is actually stuff that I'd heard before, and different people had said it. And so when I was working out at this site, here's the weird thing. That place was haunted, and I'll tell you what happened. It was once a government housing project that I had worked years ago when I was a younger man. And so it was probably, I would say, in the mid-'90s or something that I'd worked at when I was real young. And I was there when there was a shooting, tragically I think it was like a 17-year-old shot another kid, I don't know how old he was, over drugs. It was a gang drugs, all that kind of place. And so I was working the ruins of that site. So the city owned it through the housing authority, so they had to have security there so people wouldn't go onto the site because it was going to be demolished, and so nobody would get hurt. And then the fire department used it for exercises and stuff like that. But while I was reading your book, I had a weird encounter there. Nothing spectacular or anything like that, but I heard what I thought was a gunshot coming from the exact same spot, and I remember the building and everything from years before, which I would think it was probably maybe 20 years, almost not quite 20 years, but maybe 15 to 20 years before. And I was sitting right there, and I shined my spotlight, and I saw nothing. And I walked over there, and I felt this weird energy, and I saw this black mass moving away, and all the guards that worked there reported seeing that. That's the only thing that happened to me there. But I was reading your book, and I thought, this is crazy, I'm sitting here reading this book, and then something happened, it triggered something in me, and I decided I had reached out to Linda once before, but I reached back out to her, and we became friends. And then I ended up reaching out to DER.
Linda Godfrey's who you met right there, right?
Yeah. Well, I reached out to her, and then Linda, And then I ended up reaching out to Vic, and that's how I ended up doing DER, because I thought, you know what?
Wow.
Your book actually inspired me to go forward with a lot of the stories that I had collected. And I thought, you know what? If I'm not a writer, then I need to be, and I'm a good speaker, then I need to be able to tell these stories. And so without that, though, your book, I don't know, man. And I think that paranormal experience I had there at that site, I think it was like a sign, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like,
Right.
you know, you're given a sign, like maybe this is what you're supposed to do.
Well, that's an honor, brother. That's an honor to know that, you know, I'm somehow maybe indirectly responsible for you coming online and telling your great stories. You know, I love to listen to you. Me and my wife listen to your live stream every Tuesday night without fail.
Well, I appreciate
And
it.
try to catch the Friday shows as much as possible. Sometimes we have the grandkids, like tonight. I'm actually outside because I have 3 grandkids in now. But yeah, and please, everybody, keep Linda Godfrey in your prayers. She's still battling her health issues. So if you will, please keep praying for her. She needs it. She appreciates it a lot. I talked to her about a week ago, and she says to tell everybody hello, and specifically you, Nick Redfern, Chad Lewis,
Oh, yeah.
and Ken Gerhardt.
Yeah, she likes all of them. Yeah, anytime I've ever spoken to her, she's always spoke real highly of them. You know, and that's why, you know, that situation that happened, and you know what it is, when Linda was telling us, the confirmation came from David and from Nick, because, you know, these people know that Linda has she has a good character. So, you know,
Yes,
somebody has a problem with
finest
her.
ladies I've ever talked to.
She's always been real respectful of me. The first person that ever answered me or spoke back to me. I do appreciate when I reached out to you a few years ago, you answered me. You didn't ignore me, and I wasn't anybody at that time, and I had done DER. And I reached out to you, and you were like, you know, and I asked you about your books, and you said, man, I'm probably the only author in this field that doesn't have any of his own books.
Right.
And you were very gracious, but then we ended up working together with the whole thing with the Roger deal, and like I said earlier about the late Johnny Henderson, we all worked together, you know, to do the story, and with Jody Cook and Nick Valenti and Roger. Not everybody got along, but we all were trying to get to the bottom of it, you know, and you and me had become fast friends, and we talk all the time now. Just seems
Yes,
like, yeah.
yes, indeed. And it's great to know you, and I can't wait to meet you guys come Friday night. And I know there's going to be everyone that has any interest in Dogman will be at this conference. The only ones that we're missing would be Linda, and she wishes she could come, but she's not going to make it. And Lauren Coleman, who I don't know his stance on Dogman, but it's probably the same as my own. There, some of them are mainly the old legendary types or the supernatural types, and I think some of the new ones are, you know, could be government experiments, and that's what I'm hoping on. So.
Yeah, and the last I spoke to Lauren, he was going to come on the show after Father's Day, and I just had so many other. Yeah, it was way back, and I had so much stuff going on, and so many guests lined up. Here's what I'm going to say right now.
Great guest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's a good guy to talk to. And my action figure is actually right next to yours in his museum. So, yeah, that's pretty cool, because Kenny Irish had taken a picture, and Kenny Irish is going to be there too. But Kenny Irish had taken a picture, and mine and yours are right next to each other. And I told Nelly, I said, check it out. Me and Barton are right there next to each other. Of course, I don't have any weapons. I'm just like, you know, and you got the cool weapons or whatever. But I tell you right now, just going to the conference, if it was just going to be me, you, Ken, and Lyle and Nick, I'd be like, hey, that's great. That's an awesome conference. But then you have everybody else. And, of course, David Weatherly. I mean, David.
Right.
I mean, golly. You're talking about
all the YouTubers that do so great on YouTube, like Josh. I heard that Steve wasn't going to be there.
Steve's not going to be there, unfortunately. Man, I'm really bummed out about that. Steve's a great guy.
Yeah.
I introduced you and Steve, and y'all talked for two hours, man. It was an amazing conversation we had, all three of us.
I called him back a couple days later and talked for a couple more, and it seemed like, you know, only 10 minutes, and that's the way it is when you're talking to somebody of like mind. And and character. You know, time just flies right by. But we're going to have so many good people there and interesting people, and wow, it's just going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome conference, and I'm looking forward to it. And I did the Kenny Irish's book is still sitting at number 1. It's crazy, man. And,
Right.
and it's I did the forward for that,
Right.
and so I'm really glad that I was able to do the forward. That he chose me to do that.
Fantastic. And Betty Moss, Betty's going to be there. So
Yeah,
looking forward to
Bettina.
meeting her.
Bettina's going to be there. That's another one. Vault. I mean, and then
Vault,
you got Josh Nanokio from What Lurks Beneath. I mean, golly, dude, his channel is amazing, and being able to talk to him and get stories and is pretty epic. And Ron Murphy. Hey, man, Ron, smart guy.
There's no way I don't think anybody can follow Ron. He's such a great speaker.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I told Ken, I was like, I don't know. So what me and Ken decided to do, folks, and I'm telling you right now, I'm giving you the 411. I'm going to be the MC, and I guess Ken's going to do a presentation. He's going to step in for Steve Stockton, and he's going to do a presentation on Thunderbirds, which I thought's cool because, we're going to have another, somebody to talk about, because Steve was going to do the paranormal, whatever, but I'm going to do that, I guess. I'll kind of step in and say a bunch of crap. So get up there and be like, and then drop the mic and walk off. And people are like, God, he really is a butthole. Look how he acts. I'm real, folks. All right, this is me. This is how I am. I'm messing with you. But yeah, so I'm going to tell you right now, folks. I talked about it all week with my wife and with my team, and me and Barton actually talked about it too. And I don't think I'm going to quit. The show's not going to end, but we are going to go on a hiatus, and hopefully I can come back and be strong and be ready to go. I got a lot of work to do with my jobs, with my companies, and so I have to put work into that. Yeah, Chris Clough says, I thought Ken Gerhard was the Thunderbird guy. He is, and that's what I just said, Chris, if you were paying attention, okay, that Ken Gerhard's going to step in and do a Thunderbird presentation. Okay, Chris. Now Chris is going to get back at me by going and making silly memes of me. He's going to go mess with me.
Yeah, they make some really good memes.
Yeah.
Ken is a Thunderbird guy. That's what remember when we auctioned off that copy of Inhumanoids?
Oh, yeah.
Expedition to help him out on his Thunderbird expedition?
We sold 2 of them.
Actually, my Thunderbird sighting is in I think it was his first book, Big Birds.
Big Birds, yeah.
Big Bird, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I'll tell you right now, and somebody just says, What Lurks and Donovan Dredd are both money. Yeah, Josh is definitely good at what he does.
He's fantastic, yeah.
So I'm going to let you run, Barton. I got to get my guest on here. I got one more person to call. I'm going to get a guest on here, and I will see you at the conference.
Okay, brother. Just everybody have a great night. We'll see you at the conference. I'm going to give a shout out to my granddaughter, Elena Grace. She's in the house listening to her papa on TV right now. So you guys take care, and we'll see you Friday and Saturday night.
Okay. All right. We'll see you.
Okay, brother. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So if you guys will give me 2 minutes, I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. I will be right back. I have to do something real quick. Okay, all right. Sorry, we lost a few people because I had to go and deal with something work-related. I'm sorry, folks. That actually work has been slamma-jamma. Oh, okay. One more call here. Let me get this person on the phone. Because my guest comes on at 9:15, so I got time for another call. Let's call one of my favorite people. Got a lot of favorite people, but she's definitely in my top 10.
Hello, Josh.
Hey, how you doing, Bettina?
I'm good. Sorry about that. I literally had just pulled up when you first started calling, and I was trying to hurry up, get up the stairs and carry everything up, so I'm free. I'm settled in now. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, but that's all right. You were just very rude, and I'm very angry with you. You're being a jerk. I'm just playing. I'm just messing with you. I'm messing with you. You know, I'm not mad at you.
I know. I'm sorry. I was living it. It's hot as hell, sweating, trying to get these stairs. I said, let me hurry up. And I called the guy. Right at that moment when you called, I called that guy Gary, and I said, I'm going to have to reschedule and put you on Thursday instead.
How hot is it up there? Is it in Alabama right now?
In the daytime, it's been like 95, 96 degrees, and right now, as we speak, I think it is probably in the 80s. It's humid. It's like still 80 degrees right now.
Dude, it's 93 here. It's been 100 and something every day here.
I can't take it. I don't see how. I mean, y'all live in Texas. I can just imagine living somewhere out there. But it's humid heat here.
Oh, it's humid too, because we're right on the cusp of like the entry to going into East Texas. Austin, when you start to drive into Austin, like maybe 50 miles west of Austin into Austin, that's when you start to drive into the forest area, because Austin's built into a forest. We're not in the deserty area. We're in the woods, and it is hot and it is humid. And then if you go to Houston,
yes.
Like I like Houston when it's not summertime. I wanted to go see the Astros the other day, the Astros and the Yankees. The Yankees were in town, and get this, I bought tickets and I didn't go.
Oh, wow. I can't imagine.
It was too hot. I was like, my wife's like, I'm not going to melt. So we tried to get our money back, and then we ended up not getting our money back. And then I was like, I don't know. Okay, well, maybe the Astros can use the money to get a better first baseman. I don't know. But anyway, it's like we ended up not going because the humidity there in Houston, I mean, it's like if you walk outside, you feel like you need to take a shower.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's why I had a concert, a major concert I've been looking forward to going to. It was on the 24th. I bought a new outfit for it, all that good stuff. And that night at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, it was still 90 degrees. I said, hell no.
It's too much, man.
I couldn't take it, so I didn't go.
Yeah. So here, tell the fans, about the conference, that you're going to be there.
Yes, I'm absolutely going to be at the conference. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about this. I can't wait. I'm ecstatic about it because you got an all-star lineup for this conference. I mean, you can't ask for anything better.
Yeah.
There's nothing better you can possibly ask for. You got like Ken Gerhardt, Josh. I mean, they're the hosts of the show, and you got. I think I heard you say Steve Stockman's not going to be there now.
He's not going to be there, but we still have you, Tony Merkel, Elijah Henderson. We got, golly, you can't, like you said, what more can you ask for?
Valenti? Yeah.
Nick Valenti's going to be there. I mean, it's just, you can't, it doesn't get any more.
It's a long list.
It is. And I did that on purpose. And I'm putting a lot of money out there because I want my fans to get the best. I want them to have the best. I want this to be a conference to remember. We have posters made up, folks, with everybody's name on it and the main speaker's pictures, and you can take it around and go and get the signatures from everybody. It's going to be epic, dude. I mean, I'm telling you right now, we're going to have a good time, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person along with everyone else that I haven't met in person.
I'm excited about this. I mean, like I said, I posted in the group today. I'm so excited. I almost feel like I want to do a backflip. I thought I wasn't gonna get hurt. I'm serious. Last time I tried to do a cartwheel, it didn't end. It didn't end somewhere. I'm serious. I landed on my face.
Oh my God! Well, don't. Okay, well, stay away from cartwheels. Just
I know.
Take it easy. Okay.
Oh my God! When you're 42 years old and you think you're 22.
Yeah. Well, I'm 47, so I don't do many cartwheels, but I'm fortunate that I can go to the gym and work out. So that's what I'm.
Yeah.
So
when you to it though, because I know it's going to be a great event, and then like meeting everybody there, hearing all the information that all the speakers are going to be sharing and talking about. It's just, I mean, I've never seen a time like any conference that I've never seen a lineup for of people that's on the banner for this. There's never been this many people at one time in an event like this, and it's over 2 days. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. Artistic Bunny says, when are we hearing the Dogman Dead? That's coming up. I'm just making a few calls. We're excited about the conference, letting everybody know who all's going to be there, and just wanted to talk and touch base with you. And Bettina, I'm going to run. I'm going to let you go, but I wanted you to come on and talk. Okay.
I mean, are we live now?
Yeah, we're live. Yeah.
Oh, hey everybody! I'm so slow, y'all. I got home late. It was hot out here. But, yeah. You go ahead. Y'all have a great show. I'll be tuning in and watching. I'm gonna go and share this live in the group now, and then I'm gonna already created another link that I've shared in the group for that Eventbrite for the people to understand. We got 4 more days left until this event, so anybody who hasn't purchased a ticket, Josh will probably share that link for Eventbrite in his group again. 4 more days. Whoever hasn't bought a ticket, you got 4 days. Is there still plenty of tickets left, or how many tickets are still left?
I think we had, because the capacity, we didn't realize that the capacity was bigger than it was. So we have, I think, about 60 tickets left.
And all the VIP tickets are already sold out.
Mm-hmm. But we can actually sell more than 60 because the capacity is bigger than we thought it was. So if we get to that number at the door, we can always make it at the door. So
yeah, you might want to share that Eventbrite ticket sale website in your group again too. I'm just gonna get ready to do it in a minute, because for the last few people who still might want to go, because there's people been reaching out to me behind the scenes asking, well, yeah, I didn't know anything about it. Where can I buy the tickets? So, anybody else that still wants to go, there's still a few tickets left. Or Josh said there's more than 60. We can get more than 60 more people. So, y'all want it? Y'all make sure you try to go ahead and get those tickets, because they have already they're selling fast, and only 4 more days to go. So if y'all want to be there, go ahead. Don't waste any more time.
Yeah.
Get these tickets now.
Yep. Okay, Bettina, it was good talking to you, and I will see you at the conference on Friday.
All right, see you Friday.
Okay.
Talk to you later.
All right, bye. So that's Bettina Moss. She's going to be there. I don't have time to call everybody and get everybody together. Somebody said Jeff Nadolny is on fire. I've tried to reach out to Jeff twice in the last, and I talked to him briefly about a guy that wrote a book, and the book was just an entire chapter about me. So I was talking to him about that, and that's the only thing. And then I tried to reach out to him again after that to get him to come to the conference, because he is a Dogman person. He does a lot of Dogman for his show. So if anybody can reach out to him and tell him he's invited, and Jeff, I'm formally inviting you right now, that you can come and you can be on the panel. And if you want to speak, you can actually speak. So that's up to you, Jeff. The invitation is there. You're more than welcome to show up. So if anybody wants to reach out to him for me, that's fine. I'll so he can connect with me, because I've tried to reach out to him. My hair. This thing always messes my hair up. All right, so let me get this going here. Somebody said something about Dogman Whisperer. I don't know his status or whatever. I don't know. Me and Ken told him he's welcome to come. He had reached out to Ken, and I think, and Anthony. He didn't reach out to me, but he reached out to Ken and Anthony, and I think my wife. I don't care who goes, as long as they're on their best behavior. You could hate me and show up at the conference. I don't care. As long as you don't do anything violent, or start cussing and screaming, like a lunatic, then we don't have a problem. If you do, then you'll be bounced. But if you can show up, whoever wants to show up and say hi, whatever, and give your opinions on Dogman or whatever it is that you want to do, you're more than welcome to go. You can voice your opinion. I don't really care. I mean, I think it's wrong if we tell people, oh, these people can go, people can't, because they don't have the same views as me. A lot of people don't believe like me. I don't discriminate against anybody for any of that. It's all up to you, Amy says, Josh, the Dogman conference will be amazing. Please have a blast and enjoy this amazing gathering you created. Much love and respect to everyone who helped make this happen and to my PRT family. So now here it is. So let me make this call here. I gotta find her. There she is. And here we go. Noah. Hello?
Hey, Josh.
Hey, how you doing, Jessica?
Hey, doing great. How are you tonight?
I'm good. I wanted to answer somebody in the chat real quick. Noe says, why don't you ever do centaur encounters? I had one and would like to know more. Yes, I have actually covered. There's not been many, but I've had 3 or 4 that I've done on the show, either on the podcast or the live stream. If you have your encounter, Noe, send it to me at Josh Turner, PRTpodcast.com, or send me a friend request and let me know that you're a fan of the show. I will approve it, and then you can talk to me through Messenger. So, Jessica... All right, Jessica, so this has been a long time coming. You do remote viewing, right?
I sure do. I've been trained in it for a long time.
Okay, so where do we begin? Because you did a show. Now, you were on Texas, on Big Tex, his channel, right?
Yeah, I actually have a show with them called Remote Viewing Investigations with Jessica Jones. But yeah, I do go. I do shows with them, and I have remote viewed several Dogman attacks, actually. So I know you're talking about the Beasts of LBL tonight.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go when you are.
That's where the conference is going to be in the LBL. Are you going to make it to the conference?
Man, I had planned to be there, and I was coming with Bob Wilson, Grumpy, who was formerly the Region 5 director, but he's not feeling well, and so we decided to plan for maybe next year. So
if we do that, if we do one,
if you do one, I hope you do.
Yeah, I hope we can. But I'm this first one, I'm going to lose a bunch of money. So,
dang.
Yeah. Well, it is the first one, and Ken and me had kind of expected that, and so we talked about it. And I thought, I was having a conversation with David Weatherly last March or April, I think it was, and he's like, you need to put together a conference, with the pandemic slowing down and all that. And so I talked to Ken about it, and we revisited it, because me and Ken were in the process of putting one together whenever the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And then it hit, and because Ken's never written about Dogman, but he's got an interest in the subject.
Oh, yeah. I just met Ken at the Alabama Bigfoot Conference.
Oh, yeah.
A month or two ago. Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yeah, he's cool. He's
him.
a good friend. I like him a lot. And we talk all the time. And so the minute I said something, back in April, like I said, I just talked to David, and he said, you need to put a conference together. And then he was like, okay. So like the next day, he had already gone out and found like locations and was excited. He was like, let's do this. So I was like, all right, so I guess we're doing this. And then it just kind of started rolling. We got the ball rolling, and so
I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah, I wish you could be there. I wish Tex and all y'all could be there. That'd be great.
Yeah, well, it's about 5 or 6 hours from my house. I'm down in Georgia, so it's not too far. We were planning on making that trek, but things happen. Gas prices got high, and my buddy Bob isn't feeling the best right now. So like I said, next year.
Yeah, definitely. So when you remote viewed the attacks of the LBL, how do we, this is like, it's such a big sandwich. Where do we start eating it?
How about I begin with what remote viewing is real quick, and just a brief little overview for people who don't understand it and have probably never heard of it, and how I got into it, and then what I remote view and how I got into remote viewing the LBL. And let's talk about the LBL a little bit. I'll try to make it quick. Okay.
Well, no rush. Just go ahead. Just talk.
Okay. So I'm a Bigfoot field researcher. I've been doing boots on the ground research it'll be 12 years this year. Okay. And I didn't know what remote viewing was. I'd never heard of it until I started being taught remote viewing, okay, by the head of my team. You know, I go out and we do a lot of research up in North Georgia and all over the South. And, and the head of my team is an amazing remote viewer. He's one of the best in the world, in my opinion. And you know, I went out there looking for a big primate running around the woods, and I got a lot more than I had kind of bargained for. And I saw that these things are not just primates running around the woods. There's a supernatural X factor to these things. And as I'm out there doing research, we're having UFO encounters and activity. We're having ET encounters. We're having trickster spirits. We're having portals. My team has actually documented a portal, and so we've sent people inside of it. 2 of our teammates, and actually Bob Wilson's one of those people, who was formerly one of the regional heads of the North American Dogman Project. So the head of my team said, well, you know, I think it's time for you guys to learn remote viewing. So our entire team, there's about, I'm going to say around 15 of us. We spent, I'm just going to say years training, you know, days on end, once a month or however much it took, learning remote viewing and different modes of remote viewing. And now remote viewing is using, for lack of a better term, I'm going to say your psychic abilities to locate a target that we have no idea what it is usually. Okay. Governments have used this for years. Military, psychic spies. You've probably heard of the psychic spies from the Cold War. And even back in the 1980s, and there's a movie called The Men Who Stare at Goats. You know, it's been around for a while. It's a very effective tool to locate, you know, missing people and, anything that you're looking for, any kind of target, right? And there's different modes of remote viewing, and usually what I do is I'm given a set of numbers, okay, coordinates. I have no idea what these coordinates mean whatsoever. They're just like 8 numbers, okay, like 1854, 1582. All right, so I'm given those numbers. I sit down with a pen and a bunch of paper, and I write those numbers down, and I go through a very scientific process, okay? But all this information is flooding in as I sit down and start writing. And I start off with 8 numbers, and I end up with a target with all the sensory data, all this information. And I can pretty much tell you what the target is by the end of my session. Okay, so out of 8 numbers that mean nothing to me, I can find missing people. I can look at historical events. I can, you name it, I can do it. It's pretty intrusive, to be honest with you. So, my whole team is trained in it, and what we do with it is we look into things that have happened to us in the field. Okay, we look into missing people's cases. We look into cold cases. I mean, law enforcement has contacted us to help solve cold cases and things like that. So it's just a really good tool to have in your tool belt when you're doing paranormal field research. So yeah, that's how I got started doing it. We look into Lord knows what, you name it. I was actually on Tex and Rob's show, Brunch with Bigfoot, from Texas Front Porch a while back before I joined forces with them. And Rob had asked me to come on their show to talk about remote viewing. And of course, Tex was probably rolling his eyes. He was like, oh, whatever, this weird psychic girl's coming on, you know. And but anyways, you know, like I said, I'm a Bigfoot field researcher first. I'm not, you know, I was not a remote viewer when I started all this stuff. But now I've been doing it for so long. Now I'm a remote viewer and a Bigfoot field researcher. But anyways, when I went on their show, Tex asked me, he said, could you remote view an attack that happened back in the 1980s at Brown Springs. There was a double homicide, and people always assumed that it was a Dogman attack. Okay. But he didn't give me a whole lot of information about it. And I thought, I'll do it if I have time, Well, fast forward about a month or so, I had them on my show. I actually have a couple of different shows that I do. And I had them on, and at the end of the show, I surprised Tex, and I said, Tex, I remote viewed your homicide, your double homicide at Brown Springs. And I was able to tell him, what people thought was a Dogman attack, because it was a brutal murder. Okay. It ended up being people. It was like a satanic ritual kind of thing. Okay. And I was able to look into that. And, but it had a little element of some werewolf stuff going on. Okay. Now that I look back on it, I didn't know a lot about werewolves, but I was looking for a Dogman, and I did not find a Dogman. Okay. That did this. And so now I know there's a difference between werewolves and Dogman and Bigfoot. Okay. They're all different.
And there's different types of each, category too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you focus in on Dogman, and there's like 6 types of Dogmen, okay? And then you go to Sasquatch. There's so many different types of Sasquatch, and you go. Now we got werewolves. I mean, I just did a show on werewolves on Sunday night on Spaced Out Radio, and I had Dennis Carroll on. I mean, if you ever get a chance, I highly recommend him. He's a wealth of knowledge on werewolves, okay? And so now we throw werewolves in the mix, okay? Okay, so I remote viewed the attack at Brown Springs for Tex, and he asked me to come on board with Texas Front Porch after that, and we got the idea. I was like, well, he wanted me to do a show with them about the field research and all that kind of stuff, and I thought, well, why don't I do a show about remote viewing paranormal attacks, like alleged Dogman attacks, alleged Bigfoot attacks, alleged missing time cases, like whatever kind of paranormal stuff, that's happened, I'll look into it and we'll do a show about it. And let me tell you, it's really taken off, Josh, like big time. And I'm having fun doing it. But I did not know a whole lot about the beasts of LBL. Okay, that was another one of Tex's suggestions for a show, and so I did one of my first cases after the Dyatlov Pass. I did the beasts of LBL, and let me tell you, it was pretty horrific what I saw there. It was bad. It was really bad.
Let me say something before we go further with this. People who at home will roll your eyes and say that you don't believe in werewolves. I absolutely do.
Oh, yeah.
My hometown, nobody calls these things dogmen. The white people call them werewolves. Native people are going to call them skinwalkers. The African American people in my hometown call them the haint or haints. And then, the Latino people, the Mexican population calls them the hombre lobo or the cadejo, which is the cadejo is like a curse. But it's the same thing, but the padrica, the cadejo is the black dog. It's like old Shuck. And I believe I've seen this too. I saw both of them 2 years apart, and they're completely different. But werewolves, I can tell you right now, I talked to somebody recently, another person who had werewolf encounter and reptilian encounter. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't, because I have interviewed a lot of people in this area where I'm at right now, in this little area where I'm at, literally. And there are computer companies, and I have gotten stories from me and my team, 4 major computer companies, and they always have these encounters when these big shots come from Asia or Europe. And when they come to visit, they see these reptilian people, and they see these werewolves. I don't know what that is, if the werewolves are their protectors, or I've got a whole bunch of theories about it, but I had a guy that came on my show who works for one of those companies. His name's Nick. He's a really big guy. I used to work with him years ago downtown, Austin, on 6th Street, and it was a rough place, but he works at one of these large computer companies, and he saw a guy's face change when he was in the elevator, and it was one of the big shots from Europe. And then I had a guy that he's Indian by birth. He's Tamilese from southern India, where they have a rich tradition of these dogmen. And he saw this werewolf-looking creature with one of the security at the building, the large computer company. That's no longer, they've moved. They're not there anymore. They moved, but it was right there by my complex at that time. And he claims to have seen someone's face change too that looked reptilian, but they always seem to coincide, and so I do believe that some of these really powerful elite, they have the ability to shapeshift.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, it's interesting you're talking about the reptilians. All right, I remote viewed the lizard man of Skateboard Swamp. Okay, and what I saw with that, there was a young gentleman who was accosted by this thing. Okay, and I actually looked into that particular attack, and it didn't harm him per se, but it did go after him. Okay, and I looked into that. That lizard man was actually a reptilian. Okay.
I believe that too.
It was a reptilian, absolutely. And okay, what's very interesting about a lot of these dogmen that I'm looking into, it's dogmen werewolves. It's mostly dogmen. They are coming out of facilities underground. Okay. There's their facilities. I've actually looked into a dogman at the Joe Bald Recreation Area. D.A. Roberts had me look into that. And they're coming out of facilities. The government is absolutely 100% aware of their existence. They're creating some of these things. They are using them. Okay, they're using them. They're tracking them. It's a lot of these targets that I'm doing are government involved, government cover-ups. But the LBL is one of those where these things are being tracked by our government in some way. And, there's also the super soldier aspect to some of these things as well. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I believe that they're the dogman, I believe. Somebody asked me, okay, and I'm going to say this because I'm going on a hiatus after this show, and I don't know how long I'm going to be gone. I don't even know if I'm coming back, but I'm 90% sure I'll be back in some capacity, but I'm going to just put it out there right now. Somebody asked me the other day my honest opinion, and I told them, I said, dogmen were created by the Anunnaki. That's just, I point blank told them that, and they said, what are the Anunnaki? I said, they are the fallen angels that created the Nephilim. Yeah. That's what people think, that's what they are. Not the rebellious angels. Rebellious angels ended up here before the fallen angels. It goes on and on. I could go into a whole dissertation about that and who the Anunnaki were. They set themselves up as kings and gods, and people, wrote it down and said, "Oh, this is God. That's God. This is God." That's why God's so different in the Old Testament over and over again. God's, all these different names and different personalities. And I tell people that doesn't mean that there isn't one true God that created them. But they are our progenitors, and they did create these dogmen way back, a long time ago. Yeah. And they lived underground for a long time. And the reptilians, now with the reptilians, you have a whole, and I'm not to get off track here, but there's a whole different thing going on there too. There's some that are from here, some that are interdimensional, and some that are intergalactic. And that sounds completely nuts, but that is the truth. And they're not all friends.
Yeah. It doesn't sound crazy to me.
Yeah,
I 100% I stand behind what you're saying right now.
I mean, I've looked into it. I don't remote view, but I leave my body. This sounds so crazy, I know, but I'm not lying. I've been doing it since I was 11 years old, and I feel like it happens. I used to think it happened at random. Now I know that it happens when it's needed to happen. So sometimes I will leave my body, and I can go and view things. And of course, there is a such thing. People don't know this. They don't believe it. Is the Akashic Records. What the Akashic Records does is it records things, and you can access it, but you have to have a reason. You can't just go in and be intrusive, like you said, because you're violating people's personal space. But some people are really bad, and they dabble in a lot of this stuff. And if they catch you, it's the same as being in their house uninvited. Oh yeah. Yeah, because I had somebody years ago who was astral projecting into my house, and we had a problem. And I confronted him. He was a black magic practitioner downtown where I used to work, and I said, "Dude, I saw you in my house." He was in shock, and he tried to go to my brother and tell my brother, because my brother was involved in a bunch of stuff at that time. And my brother's like, "Yeah," he goes, "My brother leaves his body periodically, and he probably caught you there. You shouldn't do that." Well, there is a truth to this. We are flesh vehicles that have a spirit, and your spirit is a ball of light, is basically what it is. And if you are out, and if you go beyond the astral plane, you will be able to see in all directions. Now, some people can do that naturally, some people can't. Some people just see everything like they do in the normal, and it's like a dream state. Some people's consciousness pushes beyond that, and it's more real than this reality.
Yeah.
And it just goes on and on. I mean, and there's so many different levels and so many different nooks and whatever. I mean, you can end up who knows where.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're astral projecting. I mean, it's basically what remote viewing is. It's very similar.
Very similar.
You know, remote viewing is just putting a scientific method to a target and making it like a scientific, you know, writing it out on paper, kind of, you know, on charts. Kind of process. Okay, it's just putting it all into a structure. All right, let's just put it that way. And so what you are doing is the same thing that I'm doing, and I'm the same way. And that's a good point that you just brought up, is people can use this for bad. And so the person who taught me remote viewing is very particular about who he teaches, and I am very particular about who I teach remote viewing to. I've taught one person, okay, so far, because you know, we have a code of ethics that we go by, or at least most of us do, the ones that I know, because there's a lot of people that can use this for very bad. Okay, and you're also bringing up the black magic side of things, and
which is really black science.
It is, yes, right, and it's you know, I was talking with my guest from Space Out Radio on Sunday night, Dennis Carroll. He was talking about how our government is very interested in demonology right now.
Of course,
very interested.
They've been interested for a long time because
Well, you know, we got werewolves, and you know, and some of these targets I'm looking at with these dogmen, which turn out to be, some of them are werewolves, which means werewolves are different than dogmen. Werewolves are humans that turn into that shapeshift. That's right, through black magic. So it's a little different, and our government has been experimenting with that for quite some time, apparently. So it's all very interesting, but it makes you wonder what else is going on down there. I mean, I've picked up on these underground facilities where they're doing a lot of experiments, a lot of chimeras, a lot of dogmen, werewolf stuff going on down there. So,
well, look what the government said. They were like, oh yeah, we want to have chimeras, because remember there was a whole debate on the Senate floor about it. I mean, people don't really pay attention. I mean,
we've had chimeras for many years. It's just they're leaking it out now.
And another thing I encourage people to do, and this, I don't know if you do this, Jessica, but if you go back after Perestroika, I don't know how it is now because of the war with Ukraine and all that, but the Soviet Union began to declassify stuff that was 30 years old, 30 years into the future, and they kept, you know, declassifying it. And if you can access some of these Soviet files, they were allowing a lot of it just to become public information. It was like, oh, it's been 30 years, go ahead and release it, you know. Now, some of it's redacted, blah, 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 but a lot of it's there. And the experiments and what they uncovered, and Putin made the comment that the West is controlled by, you know, satanic people, you know, and vampires. He made a joke about vampires, and that's not no BS.
Yeah, I got to tell you something too.
I mean, vampires are real too. I mean, people think that I'm joking. I mean, I talked to a guy who said that he was a vampire, that he had to drink blood, you know, every so often because they gave him some vial of some crap, and he had to do it, you know, periodically. He had nothing, no other weird, fantastical story. It was just that, and he was part of a program, like he was but it was satanic, you know. It definitely was demonic, satanic, whatever you want to call it. And the term satanic, people don't really realize what that is. Satan is a shaitan, and really there's more than one. Shaitan is a race of evil beings. They're called the shaitan. If you look into them in the Quran, or if you go even further back and you look at the like the Yazidi from the Kurdish tradition, they talk about the shaitan as being completely different from Lucifer and his minions. They believe that he was the peacock god and that he was like forgiven by God, but the shaitan rebelled and they were part of Lucifer's clique, and they kind of shot off into their own did their own thing, and one of them even co-opted his name to keep people like, whatever, the other bad angels or whatever you want to call them. But there's all these different, like I said, there's different factions. The one thing you can always count on, though, with evil, and I tell people this all the time, is that evil will always turn on itself. Evil is its own worst enemy. The good just is loyal by its very nature, but disloyalty is a hallmark and trait of evil. And evil will always turn on itself. So what happens is, a lot of times the evil is destroyed by its own ambition. And there is different densities and planes, and evil eventually, if you're a dark entity and you keep returning, as I call them, wicked players that keep coming back on the board. People say NPCs, well, there's wicked ones too. Wicked playable characters that come back and they just keep doing what they do. Eventually they can only go so far, and from what I understand, they can't go past the fifth density. That eventually they'll be disintegrated, destroyed, and that energy will go somewhere else. Now, there's also a way to burn off that bad energy, which is what the Zoroastrians believe. They believe that you would go to hell, but it wasn't a permanent state. It was to purify you. Now, in the Bible, God says that he is a silversmith, that he's purifying us, and that's what he does, And see, somebody says here, Satan isn't a race, it's a job title, it's an office, it should be read as the Satan, sort of like district attorney. Sort of, but there's also a race of them called the Shaitan, if you look into that, William. But there is a being that is, it would be like saying PRT. Okay, you're PRT, but who is really PRT? PRT is Josh Turner. He's the head of PRT, but there are several other cogs in the machine that are PRT. Yeah, if that makes any sense. I just wanted to clarify that because it gets really deep. Now, talking to someone like you, Jessica, who's well-seasoned remote viewer and understands these things, that's why when we have these conversations, or people are kind of able to listen in, and then we can kind of make them understand, or put it in layman terms. Not that my audience needs that, because my audience is very educated and intelligent, but it helps to have clarification.
Oh, so, yeah, absolutely. And and I actually saw someone in the chat wrote out a word that came up in my data when I was remote viewing the Beasts of LBL, the attack. I actually remote viewed the what the Beasts of LBL is, which turned out to be what they are. It's not just one. Okay. And then I looked into the actual attack on that family back in the 1980s. And something that really blew me away with that attack, like everything blew me away really, but because I have to go in and see if these things are real and if it really happened. That's like my first line of remote viewing is, well, I got to make sure this really happened. Okay. And I saw immediately that attack on that family did happen. I saw several attacks. It wasn't just that one family. And something that I saw somebody write is, I don't like saying this word live because it could shut down our pages, but it rhymes with a microphone and it starts with an A, and it has something to do with your blood. That's what these things were going for. I'll say it, adrenochrome. Okay, which may sound kind of crazy to people. It sounded kind of crazy to me when I was remote viewing this, but they were going for blood and going for that adrenochrome in these people. So use that how you will, that information. But I
had a story just recently where someone, they claimed to have stumbled upon a ritual being done, and they saw these people changing into lizard-like reptilians, and that's what they were going for, was the head.
Yeah, that's what these things went for. Yeah, and there was actually not just one Dogman. It was there were two that I picked up in the environment attacking these people, and it was very, very horrible, very rough.
What do you think about Roger that came on the show? Do you know anything about him and his story?
I do now. I've heard of Roger, his story, but I really, like hearing his story. I've got to tell you, okay, just because I don't pick something up in my data doesn't mean it didn't happen. Okay. Now, I have total respect for everybody. I don't discredit anyone or discount anyone's stories, but in my data, there were only 4 people there. So that doesn't mean he wasn't there, but it just means that I did not pick up on an extra person there.
So are you able to, like, with your ability, would you be able to remote view me and see what's wrong with me? Why I always have to sprout hair and run around? No, I'm just kidding, folks. Please don't do that.
Hey, you can't hide from a remote viewer. I can see everything.
Yeah,
you name it. But I wouldn't just be, prying into people's lives. But I don't have time. I don't have time to be looking into people. But I do. But it is. But I do this for fun. This is like my favorite hobby in the entire world, and I do it so much. I'm not bad at it, and.
But we won't have any problems as long as you're not looking into me.
Exactly. Well,
I'm just messing with you. I was trying to say that really creepy,
Well, it made me have a flashback to where Tex from Texas Front Porch asked me to remote view some missing time that he had in Brown Springs, Oklahoma, and I did. And he actually, we did a show about it, but I had to give him the information before we went live on the show. I called him the week of to let him know he had been abducted, and some experiments were done on him, and he was laid out on a table butt naked, and I was like, but don't worry, Tex, I didn't look.
It was
that kind of a deal.
Something did happen to him.
It did, yeah. He was taken up in a flash of light. Mm-hmm.
Golly, and when you, another thing too, people don't understand is, like, years ago, and I talked about this with some friends recently. I was working a job site. And I took a picture of a green orb about the size of a basketball floating. This was back in 2006, and the cameras weren't, as good as they are now. But when I looked at the picture on my phone, which the phone's cameras aren't real good, but I could clearly see two faces. They're looking in at me in my window, and I was like, oh my gosh. And one looked like it was creepy. It looked like a little kid with hollowed out eyes, but demonic. And then one looked like the devil with a little mustache with horns and everything. It was weird. And I had that for years and years. And now that was in an old email address that I didn't, that got closed down. It was like SBC Global something. Mm-hmm. And I don't have those pictures anymore, but I had one of a blue, like, pillar of light. And one thing that I learned, from all the research and studying I did, was that a lot of these things can travel in orbs. A lot of stuff that travels in orbs. And for the uninitiated, they don't understand. They think it's just a ball of light. Right. But they don't understand that just about anything can come out of that.
Absolutely. Listen, I have seen so many orbs in my lifetime. Out in the field, I do a lot of field research, and my teams, we're out in the deep woods and the mountains, and we have experienced so many different types of orbs, from balls of light, different color balls of light that seem to be intelligent, translucent ones, things you see like in ghost pictures and things like that. I've seen a video that a friend of mine had, that it looked like a solid metallic ball that shot down into somebody's backyard it was a CCTV camera in someone's backyard, and a ball shot down to the ground, and there were several balls, because all these they turned into aliens, little grays, and they started running around, and it was not natural at all. Okay. Mm-hmm. This was like not natural movement. It's not like what a human looks like when they run. And then they turned back into these silver balls and shot back into the sky past the camera. So there's lots of different types of orbs. So it just depends. But that is something that's very constant in our research, are orbs. Yeah. No matter what kind of research we're doing.
Do you think that a lot of these they're coming through from a fourth density? What do you think?
You know what? They could be. Now, I did also a remote viewing target in a show on orbs that fly over crop circles. Okay, and which is an interesting topic because there are different types of crop circles. And if you look back on the different crop circles, especially in the beginning, they had messages, okay, a lot, and they still have messages today, but a lot of them are hoaxes. And now there a lot of them look like Illuminati or Masonic symbols, and so it's kind of weird. It's like, well, some of these seem to have like messages to humanity, and then some of them are kind of dark. Okay. And so I looked into these orbs and found that there were 2 different types of orbs making crop circles. One that was very pure and like an essence, like an energy coming from source, like source energy, that were actually there to help guide humanity and to give us messages. And then there were others that were like man-made, kind of, that had been corrupted. Okay, it was like the opposite of something pure and good. That had been corrupted, and then those were the ones that were making these different types of orbs, almost like trying to trick humanity in a way, which might sound kind of crazy. And then, of course, there were some orbs that were making them that were like Microsoft and, things that were technology based that these big corporations had made. So it's just, but they originally had started off being pure and good, and were actually giving good messages. So, yeah, a lot of things are corrupted in our world today, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's pretty prevalent. And another thing, too, like, what people don't understand is like the connection, because, like, when you take certain things, like people talk about ayahuasca, DMT, they take these different types of the peyote, the LSD, whatever, all these different types of psychedelics. They do different things to the brain, and they hallucinate. Well, sometimes you can take those things with people, and they'll have the same exact hallucination. That's not a hallucination. That's an experience. And so one of the people that I met, they had taken DMT, and they saw what people refer to as the machine elves. But they also had an alien abduction experience, which made them think that these elves and these abductors were one and the same. And I don't know if these creatures actually can become, like, they can shapeshift and make themselves look like something, and that's what they're doing, because because you were talking about a trickster, spirit, and Brown Springs to me is a place that's inhabited by trickster spirits.
Very dark.
It's very dark, and it preys upon the fear, that preternatural fear that we have of everything, and it is whatever it needs to be to get its attention and to deceive. And I really believe that. I think that there's something to this, and I think that a lot of people have these experiences, and they're completely lost. They don't know. All they know is what they saw, what they felt, and they have no clue. You know what I mean? And it's like they're flying a plane blind at night, and they don't even have a pilot's license. Yeah. And so all they want to know is, why is this happening to me? I had a guy on my show. He has a show. You should look into being a guest on his show. He's a good guy. Jason Bland. He has a show called Paranormal Soup. It comes out every Sunday. And Jason Bland talks about this dark entity that would pick him up and fly him around and show him things, and kind of like astral projecting, making him do it. And making him see things, and telling him, nobody likes you. I'm going to take you to your friends, and I'm going to prove it to you. These people don't like you. They're talking bad about you. This, and it was depressing, and it was mean, and it was evil. But I think that that's how a lot of these spirits they use it as a form of control and of getting energy. They suck energy from us, because that's their food. What nourishes them is energy, and they get energy from us. And so, there is something to these experiences that people have, and they don't understand it. They think, I'm having a bad trip or whatever. Well, I lived in a house that was haunted for years, and when I took some sort of substance, I would see stuff. It was the same thing we would always be seeing. It was just more intense. It was like you could see it clearly. Like, me and some friends were doing something, some sort of, recreationally. This was, okay, I haven't done anything since 2003. Okay, this was a long time ago. Okay, I'm an old guy.
We've all been there.
Yeah, I'm 47. I haven't done nothing in years. I'd die if I took something. But anyway, we were like...
Me too.
We were sitting there, and I told my friend, who's a big Samoan guy, and we were all talking, and I said, do you see smoke? And we all did. It was like this wavy smoke looking thing that looked like a snake, and it was just undulating around the room, and we were all like, and we all started seeing it. Well, later on we kind of rationalized it and said, well, maybe one of us saw it, and then we said, hey, you know, we're seeing this, and so everybody else started seeing it because they were imagining it in their mind. Now that's what a friend who wasn't there, he tried to tell me, and my friend, we used to mess with us all the time, and we called him Butchie. But Butchie was like, oh, y'all were, because he's done it too, but he said, y'all were just feeding off each other and you blah, blah, blah. And we were like, no, that's not what happened. We were convinced that there was something there, and it was just, and it looked like it had gone off the top of one of my friend's heads. Like it came up out of there and was like floating around. But I have a female friend who's a very good friend of mine, and she had just done something with a guy who she was no longer with, and she had gotten away from him because he was a bad guy. And so they were laying in bed and about to go to sleep, and this black balloon, the way she described it, all she can do is describe what she saw because she doesn't really know, but it came out of the back of his neck and it developed into like a face, and then it disappeared, it took off.
Oh yeah.
So
you got to be careful who you share your energy with. I mean, there's an energy exchange, and it's I'm not going to say I preach, but I encourage everyone to protect your energy. That's our biggest asset. That's it's the most important thing that we have is our energy. Okay, and just by touching someone or letting somebody touch you, I mean, even if you give a hug to like the wrong person, they can siphon all your energy off of you. Okay, so you have to be really careful about who you let into your energy field and who you let, even like watching shows on YouTube and like in the television, it can really suck your energy out and put you on a different vibe. You know, I try to be high vibe, man. I try my best. It's hard. It's hard in these streets right now, but you know, it's just the nature of the beast at the moment. We're living in some crazy times, and it's tough, but if we can just find joy in the little things and just find little things to be happy about, you know, don't let life get you down, because once you get down on that lower vibration, things can attach to you and attack you and bring you down. You know, it's kind of sad to think about that, but you know, addictions and any kind of depression, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, we've all been there, especially that depression, you know, it's easy to get down. But if we can just work on trying to find joy in little things, you know, and try to find happiness, these things can't affect you as badly. And
so you touched on earlier, you said that when you looked at Bigfoot and you found that some of them are of a spiritual nature. Elaborate a little bit on that.
Well, okay, supernatural. Let's say supernatural. All right. They can be spiritual beings, I guess, absolutely. I like to think that they're all different, just like us. I mean, we've got spiritual humans, right? We got some very non-spiritual humans. I feel like they're like similar to humans, where there's a wide range of them. But from what I've experienced in the woods and with the Sasquatches, the Bigfoot, I call them Bigfoot. I'm sorry. I know people get upset when they say, if I don't say Sasquatch, but
why do they get upset? That's one tribe's name.
It's a good question. I'm not sure. I never had anyone get upset. I didn't know people didn't like you calling them Bigfoots, but I
get mad when people say Sasquatch or Squatch or.
Well, Squatch is off limits at Space Out Radio. We're not allowed to say that by orders of Dave Scott, so I can't say that.
Dave doesn't want you saying Squatch.
He does not like you saying Squatch, just so you know. But yeah, it's you know, I don't know. I from my experience, I have seen an X factor to these beings. One of my very first experiences out in the field, I was being bait. Okay, you know, everybody's got to be bait. You know, first time or two out there, I actually volunteer to be bait. I love it. It's my thing. Okay, you get a whole lot of activity when you're out there by yourself, especially being a woman. Okay. But I was walking up a hill. I knew the guys had their FLIR and they were all watching me. So I knew that if anything ran out and grabbed me, they'd at least see it, you know, and be able to tell my mom what happened to me. But anyways, I'm walking up this hill and something, I thought it was a person, ran up behind me. full throttle, like just like trucking it, right? And I heard it and I felt it, and something knocked my legs out from underneath me and kept going right past me. Okay. I kind of jumped a little bit. I didn't fall down, but I clearly was I was pretty convinced one of the guys had been playing a joke on me. But there was nothing there. And there was not a person there. The guys did not see anything run up behind me. They just saw me fling my arms up in the air when I got, I guess you call it slapped. I don't know. But yeah, it was interesting. So, I did not just assume that was a Bigfoot cloaked. But looking back on it, it's a very high probability that that's what that was.
Somebody says in the chat here, it's very interesting. This person goes by the handle of Prophet Yang. Yang says, I had a dream about a giant demon looking like Ghostbuster Ghost, but I used light with my fingers and I disintegrated its attacks. Yang, that is actually correct. I don't want to sound just out there, dude, but yeah, if you are on the other side, light is a very important, it's something that comes from within. I believe that we are all the life and breath and spark of God. I believe the one Most High gives you that. It's in you. It is. You can't function without it. It's kind of like on Transformers, they have the spark in them that makes them what they are. It's kind of like their soul,
Yeah.
And they can actually take that spark and put it into another machine body, and it powers that. Your soul is very similar. And you have an energy, you can tap into that God energy, that light, and you can actually hurt these things if they mess with you. Even in a dreamlike state, when you're not fully conscious, you can use that light energy. I've done it many, many times, and it sounds crazy, but there are other things at play here too. There's archons. Now, there are different types of energy entities. Some are not just a tulpa, because a tulpa is a weak energy entity that is created by a mind. It's like a thought form. But there are some thought forms that can reach archon levels. Like, I'm talking like they have a will and mind of their own, and they live completely outside of the realm of any kind of jurisdiction. Like, there is laws, there are rules, there is sacred geometry, there's all kinds of things that come into play that keep things in the order that it's supposed to be in, and everything spins the way the will of Dharma spins. But when I was trying to describe to someone, and follow me here, folks, I was trying to describe, and Jessica, you can tell me your opinion on this. Somebody asked me what a demon was, in my opinion. I said, imagine somebody who stands in the middle of a river and tries to will the river to go the opposite direction of the way nature and God intended it. Imagine someone who tries to push the clock and make it go backwards. Imagine someone who is just defiant and doesn't believe in the order of the way things are, and they want to be stubborn and stand against the one Most High.
Oh man,
I
don't want to be them.
Yeah, and that's what demons do. That's what they do. Yeah. Imagine being that way.
I know people like that, actually. I know one in particular.
People are,
I was married once. I'm just kidding.
Well, luckily my marriage, I don't have that problem. But I mean, I tell you right now, it is. I've met people that were just that stubborn, and they are completely dominated. Maybe not perfectly possessed, because you can't tell. Those people that are perfectly possessed, you can't tell.
Because, they hide it well. You don't know until you know.
And I think that these people, they are so dominated by demons, and then the ones that are the worst don't even believe in it. They don't believe that it's happening.
Right. In denial. Well, it's not even denial, because they don't know what's going on. I had an interesting conversation about when we were talking about werewolves on Sunday night about that. And I was asking, because Dennis is a demonologist who was on my show. And I said, well, do people know they're possessed? Like, do people know that they've been taken over by a negative entity? And he was like, no, they don't. lot of times they don't. Look at all the mass murderers and killings and things where people black out and they don't know why they killed their whole family, or they don't know why they shot their friend or whatever. A lot of times they get taken over. Demonic possession's a real thing.
Well, look at David Berkowitz. He says he doesn't have any, and it's very possible. And I believe that he may have been an accomplice. He had accomplices. I think it was they were achieving a mission. And I think that's what they were doing. I mean, serial killers. If you were to watch Dexter, he talks about his dark passenger. I have a friend who's a kickboxer, and I don't want to call him out, okay? But I trained and coached for years, and this guy. If you go to the conference, folks, I'll show you my shins. I will tell if you want to see my shins, they look like mincemeat because trust me, I've been around these people. And I'll see fighters, young guys come in there, and they would come in there to be coached, and they would literally have like some kind of something waving around behind them, red or black. And it feeds upon violence, and it does. Yeah, there's
rage.
A rage.
Yeah.
And I had that. I had the spirit of rage attached to me for years, and it is almost impossible to get rid of because it makes you angry really quickly. And it thrives on the violence that you're feeding it, that violence and that domination, whatever.
Oh,
and
man,
I knew a guy, he was
absolutely.
a kickbox champion, and this guy, he trained over in Thailand. Amazing guy. But when he described to me an entity that he saw one time in Thailand, I saw that same thing on him. And I was like, oh, okay, so you basically had an encounter with what you have attached to you.
Yeah.
And I'm not one to go and try to tell him, because he coaches and he does a lot, and he's a good guy. But as long as he's got that on him, he's going to have that cross to bear. And it is unfortunate because, you get a lot of that. I would get these fighters that just wanted to fight so bad, and they would fight at the drop of a hat. And you're like, why is this person so obsessed with us? Because they have an attachment.
Oh my God! Yes, I got to tell you a story too. This is wild because I'm a kickboxer as well. I used to be.
Really?
I didn't compete. It was just for fun. Okay, and I love doing it. It's just it got me in shape and everything. But I hung out on the scene. I have a lot of fighter friends, MMA fighters and things like that. I used to hang out with a lot, and there's one guy in particular who. He had some very dark attachments and stuff, and I did see that a lot in that community. Not to call anybody out or anything, and I've never named names, but I'm just saying it was a very there are a lot of really good guys and ladies, and there were a lot of very dark entities attached to these people. One was so bad that actually he kind of reached out for help a little bit, and a friend of mine who, let's just call him a demonologist. Okay, we sent him to this guy's house because he had demons. He had a horrible sex addiction. Okay, that kind of stuff, drugs, alcohol, sex, all these addictions, and he saw demons. He talked to them every day. He took pictures of them and showed them to us. And we sent a guy over there to help him. And he came back and was like, this is so bad. I don't even think I can help. He was like, it's really bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's that lifestyle.
Did they know? Yeah. I mean, like the ones that you were dealing with, did they come to terms with?
Yeah. The guy, I'm not even sure whatever happened to him. He was associated with my ex-husband. So I'm not sure what happened to any of those guys. I wish them well.
Yeah, because I've dealt with a lot of guys that different camps. I had a friend that coached out of the Pete Militich camp, and he was, I don't know if you know who that is, a former MMA, and I don't know, maybe I think he might be with Lions. He was with Lions Den too, I think. But anyway, he's a well-known coach and trainer here. But he is a dark and brooding individual, and at any given day, he might come in. He's one of the people that that I looked up to, whatever. But he would come in, and you don't know what kind of mood he's in. And I'm going I'm sitting here watching him, and I would see like weird, like you could see my hand waving like that, and it's like this streak, And I would see this dark brownish black coming off of his energy, and I'm like, what is that? Well, sometimes you catch glimpses of aura, and you'll see like this violet and red, different colors, and stuff, and it depends on how focused you were. But that is when you look at that, and you see it from the spiritual aspect. I had a friend of mine who was a Buddhist monk, and he was a really peaceful guy, but he was a great fighter. And he was like, you live softly, carry a big stick, walk softly, carry a big stick kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And he told me, he goes, your ability all stems from your spirit. He's like, you're athletically gifted, and you can beat most guys that train all the time. He's like, but it is purely spiritual. It comes from within, and you just, your chi, or ki, as they say in Japan. He's like, it's so high that, and he goes, and it's all timing. And I pondered on what he said, and I realized that it's a myth when they say that there's a guy that can beat you. I don't believe in that. I believe if you're spiritually strong enough, it is only a time. And I tell people, they say, what does that mean? What that means is there's a time when a Girl Scout could kick you and you fall over and you're done. And then there's a time when you can fight King Kong and you get him in a headlock and beat him because you're invincible. Your ki or your chi is so strong that you can literally, just punch through people. And it's like, it doesn't matter what they do. They could pick up an axe and you're going to win.
Absolutely.
And then there's times
you got the armor of God on you.
That's right.
It's the full armor of God. Mm-hmm. That's the thing.
And that's what people don't understand. They don't understand that you have to win in the spirit, and the first battle is with yourself.
That's
and if
right.
you can get past the fear, because I know it sounds crazy, but like Dune, he says fear is the mind killer. That is what it is. I mean, literally, for years and years and years, I had dreams, and it was always me facing myself. Mm-hmm. And it was just symbolic of me having to overcome my own physical. I had to come to terms with my physical limitations. I had to come to terms with my physical abilities, and then I had to reach out and go into the spirit. And everything goes through the mind. The mind is the processor. That's what ties you, the body and the spirit, together. Yeah. But you really are a soul, and this machine of a body can do anything. That's why you see people make these amazing transformations. They'll be 400 pounds. Next thing you know, they're 120 pounds, and they look like a totally different person because you can do the same thing with a car. You can soup it up and make it into a super machine and put a new engine, motors, whatever. It's the same thing. The body is a vehicle, and you use it, and so you can pretty much, the spirit is, if it's strong, you can do anything. And it sounds so esoteric and out there to people who live day to day. Not to you or me, because
100%, man. I'm behind it. You gotta get healed. You gotta take care of yourself. You have to raise your vibration. I think I said that earlier tonight. Raise your vibration, get your vibrational frequency up, stop living in fear. And we are so pumped full of fear every day in society. It's the television. It's everything. Everybody's just living in a state of fear. Now, what's the opposite of fear? It's actually love. Okay. And it's loving yourself, and it's just finding a peace within you, just like what you're talking about. It's connecting to source, whatever source is to you, and it's tapping into that divine energy, and nothing can touch you when you are on a high vibration, and you're right with yourself, and you're living in that frequency of love.
When you say that, and it sounds so simple, but because to the initiated, it is simple. But when you try to, like, and what you said about the opposite, it is one of the opposites. And disgust, I believe, is another opposite of love. But it's not hate. Because you can love someone and absolutely hate them too. Because I've had people like fans that'll tell me, and they're like, hey, I really like you, but I hate you too. And I'm like, good gosh, and then it's like, and I'm looking out your bedroom window. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? You're like, really?
I'm remote viewing you right now.
Yeah. You're like, red underwear? Really? You're like,
oh,
but
geez.
It's like, they just came in a 5-pack, dude. Come on. The point is, though, is that these people, they don't understand, and it's all about their perception, and perception is the key that unlocks the intangible power of the spirit. People always try to perceive the God energy, but it's all based on what you yourself have allowed yourself to see.
That's
you can
right.
see everything as clearly as long as you allow yourself that, because what we're getting right now in our society is, take a puzzle, put it together, take a 500-piece puzzle and leave 100 pieces out. And then take that puzzle and just put it as close to your face as you possibly can, and you're going to go, oh, look at this, it's a horse's foot. That's what we're seeing. But if you back up, it's like, it's a horse. Oh, it's a whole battle. It's, it's a charge of the Light Brigade. I mean, it's a whole mosaic, and people are missing it because they're so focused on one little part. And I believe that the major religions of the world, it's all been shattered. Like somebody took a star and little pieces of it flew off everywhere, and everybody picked up a little piece and said, oh, here it is. Here's the truth. You have a shard of the truth. We all have to put it together to make the mosaic, and that is the problem. I believe, and that's why I believe in Christ. And I believe that Christ came to put that puzzle together to tell us, look, I am the way. I'm going to lead you out of this matrix. I'm going to lead you out of the Kali Yuga. I'm going to lead you out of Revelations. I'm going to bring you to the peace, to the love, to the light, and to the glory that is my Father God. I believe that Jesus did that. I believe that that's why he came. And even the Hindus say it. Krishna, Kalik, they call him. They said he's going to come back on a white horse, and he's going to save the day, and it's going to create a kingdom of peace. It's in the Vedas. It's in the Revelations. It's even in the Quran. The Quran, people don't know that the Muslims actually believe in Christ. They think he's going to return. They believe that he's going to kill the man of sin, who is basically the Antichrist. And he's going to overcome it all. But in the meantime, we are all twisting and living day to day, just trying to float and trying to stay alive and trying not to be devoured by the sins of the flesh. Yeah, the sins of the flesh, the sins of the mind, and you're trying to overcome your own fear and your doubt and your pain. And the only way, I'm telling you, there is really only one way. And that's to get out of this. And I believe that we are in a matrix, and we are trapped here.
Absolutely.
It's very real. But
I agree. Yeah.
But it's you have to find your way out, and otherwise you keep coming back, and the further you go into the Kali Yuga, the darker it gets.
Well, let me tell you, the best way to get out is to go within. All right.
That's where the kingdom of God is found.
It's what it's all about. That's right.
The kingdom of God is found within. I had a question for you, Jessica. Somebody had asked, and I want to see, because I think he might be interested in I'm going to have this person. Do you know Barton Nunley? That name is familiar. Yeah, it sounds. We may be friends on Facebook. I don't know. Probably. He wrote the greatest book ever on. But I wanted. He's in the chat, and he's under Letitia. That's him and his wife. But I wanted him. He's written about a bunch of cryptids and stuff. I wanted to have him. I'm going to call him right now. I want to have him ask you a question, because he had some questions on here. Okay. And I'll see if he answers, because I think he would really like to ask you that. All right. If I can get it to ring here. Barton, if you're listening, pick up the phone, dude, because I know that you're paying attention on the show.
Hello.
Hey, Barton. Okay, so I got you on with Jessica here, and I saw you making the comments there.
Great.
Yeah. So, do you want to ask?
Jessica.
Hey, what's up? How are you tonight?
So, go ahead and ask what you were trying to ask on the comments there, Barton.
Okay, so I heard her mention earlier about the LBL that there were multiple attacks there, and she only said anything about the one. So I was wondering how many separate attacks, has she seen there, and how many people have been killed there according to her views. Yeah, Johnny Henderson and I were sitting up one night, adding together all the stories of people that have been killed there, and we come up with a pretty fantastical number. It was astronomical. Okay, now I don't have an actual number. I'm looking through my data right now. I don't have. I can't hear anything she's saying.
Yeah, that's because
I don't have the show playing on the phone.
So I'm going to relay it to you, because she's going through my headphones here. So Barton, go ahead and say it, Jessica, and I'll relay it to him. Yeah, it was an astrological number, or astronomical. It was an astronomical number. It was shocking to me, because I was going and looking for a family that had been attacked. From what I saw, there were at least 4 or 5 other attacks around that same time period. Okay, so what she said was there were 4 or 5 attacks around that same time period. And she said that it was a large number of attacks. But, yes. Now, they say 13 people a year go missing in the LBL. That's the number that I've been given over and over again. That was just in that time period.
Johnny and I were just racking our brains one night, and I was so when I was down there in 2007 interviewing Jan Thompson, where I got this story from, some fella called me on the phone. Actually called Jan and had her hand me the phone. It was an old man, and he said he was dying from cancer. And he told me about a time back in the 1970s when another family got murdered down there, and he actually came up on it himself. So we were putting together all the numbers, and so far what we've heard was 15 people that have been killed by the Dogman. Or Dogmen down there at LBL. So I was just wondering if she was seeing, her remote viewing kind of corroborates what we come up with or not. Sorry, I can't hear you, Jessica.
Yeah. I mean, because there's a way to put you through, but we tried it the other day, and it's a big hassle. That's why we're trying to do, but...
Right. Could you have her, brother, could you just have her detail what she saw, a little bit of how things happened down there without, getting too graphic or anything? But I would like to hear that, and I'll go back in the house and start listening again.
Okay. All right. I'll let you go.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, bye. All right. So I thought it'd be better if I just called him and asked him, he's somebody you should talk to.
Yeah,
he wrote a book,
would love to talk to him.
Yeah, if you give me your information, I can send you his book, Inhumanoids.
Absolutely.
Which actually, I'm going to plug the conference real quick here. Barton Nunley is going to be selling shirts of the Inhumanoids, first of their kind. I'm going to be picking them up tomorrow and bringing them to the conference, and so we had some shirts made. It's going to be really cool, and he's going to be selling those. It's going to be awesome. Okay, but Jessica, back to what you were saying. So when you did this research, you believe that these are creatures that were created in a lab?
Not necessarily a lab. They came from. Some of them come from an underground facility. Okay, they're not necessarily made in a lab. There's different Dogman. There are different creatures at the LBL. Okay, there's not just one type. Now, the ones that attacked this family, I did see two of them. They looked a mix between, I'm going to say like a German Shepherd. I wrote down in my data German Shepherd, but like a hyena type. Okay, so it was like a hybrid, weird-looking hyena German Shepherd looking thing. Okay, both of them, and they were scavengers. All right, they ran up on this family, and what I saw was extremely disturbing. The family was attacked; they were ripped apart, and very. And the family actually tried to stand their ground. I don't know if I can't remember if it was the mother, but I saw a gun in the mix, and I do believe there was at least one shot that went off in the mix. But like I said, it was very disturbing watching this. Not to get into details because I saw a lot of gore and a lot of ripping apart, organs getting strung across the way, and it was really bad. I did see that. Okay, let me turn some pages. I don't like looking at that information, actually. I did a deep mind probe of one of the persons that was being attacked. And, sometimes when I find a person in the environment, when I'm remote viewing, I can do what I call a deep mind probe, where I go inside and I ask them questions. And I did ask one of the people there, what are you seeing? And they told me, they said, these are strong men, but they're not men. Okay. They were beasts. They literally said they thought they were men at first, but then they were actually beasts. Like their bodies looked like men, but not their heads. Okay. They also were describing to me exactly what they were seeing with their, getting ripped apart and things like that. But my data is showing me that they were, I was calling them bloodsuckers. Okay. Bloodsuckers. They were going for blood. Like they were out for blood. They are trained. And I also got they were trained assassins. Okay. Trained assassins that were on the loose. At first I was thinking, well, trained assassins may have gone in there to get them to, take them out after this happened. I was actually picking up that these beings were trained assassins. Okay. And there was more than one. I did get multiple. I picked up on two that actually attacked the family. But they were going for the blood. They were going for that. I was picking up hypothalamus and like the whole, I hate to say it, but the adrenochrome stuff was coming up.
I know what you're talking about,
yeah. But yeah, they were on the loose, and the government did know about this, and there was a total cover up. And I did ask. I said, "Did anybody die?" I was asking the people there. Did you die? Like after I asked like what they were seeing, they said absolutely. They said yeah. And I said, how many of you? How many people died there? Or not, asked them how many other people have died at the LBL, and they said more than you'll ever know, is what they were telling me. So I don't have an exact number. But there's a lot. Okay, there's a lot of people. That was just remote viewing that incident. And like I said earlier, I did only pick up on 4 people there. But that, like I said, it doesn't mean there wasn't that extra person. I just didn't pick up on that person there. But yeah, I mean, I have a whole lot of data here. Some of it's just really gory, and I don't like. It's not really worth talking about on air right now. So, but yeah, that actually it really did happen, and that was a very tragic event. And like I was saying earlier, it was shocking to me because it was not only shocking like the event of what happened and the mauling. I'm going to call it a mauling. And I even sketched out pictures of like a map basically of like where the 2 dogmen came from and surrounded they had a camper with something behind it, I think. And I've sketched it all out, and I think I may have this actually in my, I don't know, somewhere online. If anybody's interested, you guys hit me up on social media, and I can. I'll be glad to talk about this with you in private, and show you some of the data. But yeah.
One of the things I was going to tell you. Oh, go ahead. No, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no. And I did another target. That was me looking at the actual attack of the family. Another target that I did was actually trying to get a description of the actual beast, okay, the beast of LBL, and I did get that. Yeah, I mean, like I told you, it looked like a hyena, and it had some German Shepherd aspects to it, like with the hair around its ears and things like that. But I was getting like willing participants. It's almost like the government knows about this. Like, I don't know if it's if they're coming from the underground facilities, someone is kind of like in charge of these things, and it's almost like they let them loose to feed. Okay, and that sounds so gross and so terrible, but it's almost like, well, they have a territory. Okay, I picked up they have a territory. When you step over that line, you're fair game to be eaten. Okay, so be very careful where you go with the LBL.
There are also certain pack places, animals too, pack creatures.
They're 100%. I got pack.
One of the things that I wanted to throw this out there really quickly, a guy I used to work with was always pushing the narrative that they don't hurt anyone, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
okay, bull crap. And he wanted me to alter things to make, and I'm no, because this is what's real. And I've had several people try to do that to me, to try to get me to tone it down, telling me that I shouldn't talk about werewolves.
I've gotten the same thing.
Yeah, and I told them to go pound salt. But I talked to some friends of mine, they're Arabic, and they're from Jordan. And one of them told me that these creatures they see them all the time in the desert. And he said that if you see them, this is what he told me. He told me and one of my, 2 of my workers. He told both of us, and then he told my nephew and my godson. We were all together. And he was working on a friend of mine's vehicle. And he said, if you see one, he's like, you're okay. It might not attack you. He goes, but if there's more than one, he goes, you can almost guarantee they will attack you. And this is like, it's a common knowledge there in the Middle East. Like, they know this. And now there was a book that me and David Weatherly discussed on my show called Legends of the Fire Spirits. And it talks about the Middle East and all the different beliefs and all these different, going way back even before Islam. And these creatures appear. And it talks about these creatures being like, like a type of, it's hard to explain. It's like the one thing that the jinn can't turn into is a wolf. So, but they can make a copy or a fake version of it, kind of like a skinwalker. They can't go all the way with it. So you end up with this weird looking creature or whatever. But I talked to a Ute who told me, he was a friend of mine's grandfather, And he told me that there are Sasquatch or Bigfoot, whatever, and there's different types, you know, and that there are bunches of different kinds from different areas, different places, different realms. Same thing with Dogman. He said that there's this werewolf, there's this creature that's always like that, and there's this. But he said that these shapeshifters can mimic anything. And they can actually mimic an actual, like, so you could have something that mimics a werewolf or a Dogman, but it's not really what that is. It's just one of the shapes that they take. And so it gets really complicated, but it's convoluted. But he said a good shapeshifter, a good, you know, skinwalker can mimic different animals. Like deer, fox, elk, werewolf.
Yeah, well, it's just
wolf.
like screen memories too. Like when you're having an abduction experience, a lot of people will see a deer or an owl. You know, it's all this projection in our minds too. I know it's kind of weird, little gray area there when it comes to all these cryptids and attacks and abductions. The tricksters are real. You know, you just don't, we really don't know. I mean, a lot of times when people think they're being abducted from their bedrooms at night by aliens, you know, it could be what people would consider demonic entities messing with them. I mean, you never know.
Yeah. And one of the things that, like, somebody just, okay, this is so weird. I just saw this. It says, I hadn't thought of that, but that is an interesting theory. It says here, okay, it must have been something. It was a response to somebody. Cryptid responses, Barton, I believe it's possible they fear edged weapons more than firearms. Okay, that's one question I wanted to answer or talk about, because one of the beliefs in the Middle East, too, is that you're supposed to hang a knife or a piece of iron, like a weapon. Horseshoes, yeah. Any kind of, and the reason is because these break up electromagnetic charges. That's why. And now, not everybody owns silver. Silver was, like, expensive. I mean, if you had silver, you had money. So silver was currency. So you weren't just going to hang silver on the wall. But gold is a pure metal. Gold and silver are pure metals. They're precious metals for a reason. Copper, you know, these are used in semiconductors and in cell phones and in computers. They're used in all these different types of, in all the vehicles we drive, everything. So the price of all these metals has gone up exponentially. Well, one of the reasons the Anunnaki came to our planet was because we had gold, and they were taking it. They were looking for it, and I believe that they didn't fly here. I think that they came here through portals, interdimensional, and I think they went back and forth. I think these Dogmen, they were the originals. I believe. I think that they were created by them as guardians to guard the portals. That's why people always see them where the dead. They're like near the dead.
Oh my gosh!
Me and Linda Godfrey had many conversations about that, about them being guardians of the dead, and why they were worshipped by the Aztecs. You know, like Xolotl. I mean, you know, you see him. He's a death god. You know, he's the guardian keeper or Anubis. You know, and so what these the blade, what it does is it breaks up the electromagnetic energy, because they are from a fourth density, and you got to understand something too. We're third dimension, so the fourth dimension or fourth density, they can see us, we can't see them. Just like I told my audience, like if you took this mouse pad right here, like I got this mouse pad right here, there's this wolf right here. It's 2-dimensional. If you take that wolf, he can only see what's in front of him and the lines that are in front of him. He can't move 3-dimensionally. He can't come off of that mouse pad and understand and focus on our world. He can't hide anything from us because he's in the second density or second dimension. We can't hide anything from the fourth dimension. That's why it seems like these things are supernatural to us, because they're on a different level of science than we can comprehend. They can see everything. If you go and put something in a box, they can see it. So when you're remote viewing, you're essentially doing the same thing. You're coming out of the third dimension and you're looking at it from a fourth density where you can see what is in that box. Okay, I see this. Josh put a sock and a shoe in the box. I don't know why you would put a sock and a shoe in a box, but okay, he put a sock and a shoe in a box, tried to hide it from me, but I found that, there it is. Because you can't
that sock
hide
had money in it.
Yeah, well, the sock had a bunch of silver and gold in there. But anyway,
I saw it.
Yeah, I seen it. So, but that's the thing, you know, like people don't understand. Like gold is a pure metal. It is very pure, and it purifies you. Just like silver, colloidal silver. Some people drink it. I'm not going to recommend people drink it. You can turn blue, or it could kill you if you take too much.
I've had it before. Hey, that stuff works.
I use it.
Clears up a sore throat.
It got me off of COVID. I'm telling you, it's colloidal silver.
It works.
Yeah. So
spray it in your nose and do whatever.
Yeah. So somebody says silver conducts electrons, so it crosses dimensions. Well, yeah, silver, and I actually own silver bullets too. My business, don't worry about it. But I own silver bullets. Not you, Jessica, but people will ask a bunch of questions. You never know. I try to come prepared, but and so I have silver.
Should never be too safe.
It doesn't tumble correctly. I can tell you that. It doesn't go the way. You'd have to be point blank, and that's not something if you're dealing with a supernatural creature, you're not going to want to be point blank, but that's the best you're going to get. But it does break up electromagnetic energy, and it goes back to ancient times about how gold and silver can ward off evil. Yeah. Gold is just not mentioned because gold is so rare. If you took all the gold on the entire planet, I'm not talking about 10, 14 karat, which is alloyed. I'm talking about all the gold, the pure gold in the entire world. You would end up with a 30-foot tall tower about the size of a tennis court. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all the gold in the entire world that we know of. So you can, but you have a lot of gold because there's 10 karat, there's 14, there's all this 18, 24, whatever. But gold is a very powerful, and it is a protection. I'm not kidding. So is silver.
It is.
And I don't wear silver, but gold, it does. It's even stronger.
I mean, I have a jewelry store. I sell vintage Native American jewelry, and I have a lot. I always wear my silver every day, and sometimes gold. I got gold too. But yeah, protection amulets. I'm all about it. There is something protective about it. Mm-hmm. And turquoise, all these crystals.
I was just about to say turquoise and amylite. What is it called? Amethyst,
labradorite, and amethyst, and quartz, and all that stuff.
I have a lot of it. I use it.
Pyrite, you name it.
Pyrite, and then I use rock salt in certain situations. You have to. I think it's weird because if I wear silver, for some reason, it makes my neck kind of like if I wear it, it kind of makes me. I don't know what it does, but I can't.
Are you a vampire? I'm just kidding.
And then I can't, and then I'm salt sensitive.
Werewolf.
So I can't eat salt. And I promise you, I'm not a vampire werewolf. You can remote view me. I give you permission only to prove that, and then you cannot look at me anymore. But that's just to prove that point. I'm not a supernatural creature, but I had somebody tell me that one day. They're like, my nephew, he was all like, one of Anthony's little brothers, he's like, you sure you're not a werewolf because you can't have salt, you can't have silver? Like, I told him, I said, pretty sure, but you never know, and if I am, then I'm a good one. I'll fight the good fight. But
you're on the good side.
I'm on the good side.
That's good.
Not, because sometimes people are circumstance. I've met a few people that just, it really sucked because they were on opposite ends of the battle with me, and I really respected them. But it was unfortunate because we were just on two different sides of an issue, and we had to be at odds. But there are sometimes enemies who they have a nobility about them, even though they're your enemy. It has to be the way it is. It's just the way it is, and unfortunately,
you gotta have the yin and the yang, right? Mm-hmm. You gotta have the other side. So at least you can agree to disagree.
That's right. Well, Jessica, it's been great having you on.
Thank you. Yeah, this has been fun.
It's been a great conversation. We need to do it again and do it bigger and go longer and have maybe if and when I return. Which I'm pretty sure I will at some point, but I'm going to take a break from this after the conference because I need it.
Yeah, you're going to need it. That's going to be so much fun. I'm sorry I can't make it. I wish I could, and I really would love to get you on Spaced Out Radio one day. So
I was actually slated to come on, but I thought I was going to be on with Dave, and then they said, no, it's going to be this other person. I don't know who it was. And I said,
was it me?
I don't know who it was.
I'm their weekend host. I've only been there for a couple months, though. So.
Oh, no. This was over a year. It was during Halloween time, like the October.
Well, I'm their weekend host. My show's all about cryptids, so please come join me.
I'll join you, especially when I take a hiatus from my show. But in October, I did like 17 shows or something. I did like 9 or 10 of other people's shows. I think it was 9, and I was slated to do 10 or 11, but then I did a bunch of shows of my own. Yeah, and it was just too much. And so I know that I had been scheduled to go on there, and then it didn't happen, and then I never got back with Dave, and then.
Well, you've got an open invite with me, so you let me know. I have shows Saturday and Sunday nights on Space Out Radio, and it'd be 9 p.m. your time.
Okay, well, let me know. Maybe
Central.
we can set something up, and I can come on and I can throw some stories out there from my vast.
I would love that.
Archives. I have a bunch, especially since I've made deals with very prominent authors that have allowed me to use their material, and I've made deals with Josh Nokia from What Lurks Beneath. So all the networking I've done has pretty much given me a limitless amount of stories and the free flow of information in ADP. So, yeah. So Jessica, thank you for coming on. I just would love to go and talk to you.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. We have more to talk about, so
yes, we do.
We'll meet again. Okay,
absolutely.
Have a wonderful conference. I can't wait to hear about it.
Maybe we'll meet on our astral travels too. Who knows?
Absolutely, I'll be there. Okay.
All right, I'll see you.
Okay, y'all. Everybody have a good night. Thank you.
Too. All right, bye.
Okay, bye.
So, folks, that was Jessica. These headphones are killing me. And Jessica Jones, remote viewer, and has been doing this for quite a while. You give me your thoughts, give me your comments. I mean, what do you think? I mean, the question that Barton posed that Roger had answered with Nick Valente a couple weeks ago was how many people were in the attacks, and Roger had said there were 3, and then it became 4, and I can't remember what he said the last two weeks ago, whatever. I spoke to Roger briefly this past week, just asking him to make sure that there was no way that he could come to the conference, because I really wanted him to come to the conference. But, there was the whole, number thing. She said there were 4. And now, remote viewers, I mean, they can make mistakes too, But, yeah, you can give me your opinions. Yeah, and Lon, hi Vincent, how you doing? Me and Lon are good friends. We have a pretty good understanding with each other too. I always try, I try to stay in people's good graces as much as possible. But sometimes, and I don't mean any of these people I mentioned, but sometimes there's people in this field that just got to give them a spanking, because they get out of hand, they get out of line, and then they start thinking that, they can tell you and push you around or whatever. And like I said, nobody that I just mentioned, none of those people, I've had a good relationship with all those people. But typically it comes from people who aren't really like super well known, because it's sort of a jealousy thing. I've noticed that as I've gotten stronger and bigger in this field, I'm kind of those people I'm kind of putting them in my rearview mirror, just moving on. It's like they're of little consequence. I do believe, though, that there is still a person that is in this field doing the Dogman thing who is. I don't believe that he is good for this field. I don't care. I mean, I'll keep saying until the cows come home. I left dealing with this person because of that, not the other way around. People try to say, "Oh yeah, he dumped you, did not let you come on his show." That's not true. I'm the one that said I'm never dealing with him again. I'm not coming back on your show. I'm not doing anything with you, because this person is not. He is false. I'm not gonna deal with that person. And if you know who I'm talking, if you know, you know. If you don't, I'm not gonna explain it. So, if anybody has any questions, ask me now, because in the next, I don't know, this could be the last show for a while. And if you notice, a lot of times when people have Dogman encounters, they're only seeing one creature, which would lend credence to the idea that they wait until there's more than one to attack. Because even if a great white shark or a killer whale is attacking a seal, they run the risk of being injured, and in the wild you don't want that. So hunting in packs the way killer whales do is way more beneficial and way more safe than being a lone solitary predator, because when you're by yourself, if things get too heady, you might not be able to make it. You know what I mean? You might, but somebody here, I can't even pronounce the bite Waspit. I can't. Josh, what is the preferred method? Do you just send stories, personal encounters? Messenger is good, through Facebook Messenger, or you can send it through my email, which is joshturnerprtpodcast.com. Like I said, folks, I hope to return. I hope to be back. I don't think this is going to be permanent, but I don't know. You know, one of the things that she said is how these things like to, they're savage beasts, you know, and that is part of the whole, that is all part of Satanism, is satanic, as a lot of it is just turning a man into a beast. Because when you make a beast of yourself, you cease to be a man. Robbing man of his rightful place in the cosmos as the creation of God and manhood. You know, man or woman. And I mean that by saying man and woman. Is to turn yourself into beasts. El Scally, thank you for that. Just thank you for all that you do, Wolf. I've been listening to the show for years. I hope your break isn't too long. Wishing you the best. Yeah, it just depends on how long it takes me to come back. Because I do need a break, and I have to start focusing on my job. You know, there's a lot of money that I need to make to pay back just for the conference. And if, you know, things go well and I can get good people around me, then I can come back and have more time for this. But if not, then I'm just going to have to do it myself. Getting people to work is like pulling teeth right now. You can give them 15, 16 an hour to sit there. You're sitting there. You just tell them, sit there and don't let that lumber go away. Can do it. You know, yeah, gosh. Oh, I would, but that's the day that I'm going to be day trading and becoming a millionaire. Sorry, you know, golly gee, I wish I could help you, but my wife really needs some moral support. She had her toenails painted and the guy didn't do such a good job. It's her personal trainer too. She spends a lot of time with him, I'm not going to lie. And then, you know, but I need to help her repaint those toenails that day. So, yeah. Your story sounds about as believable as your wife's. And I'm going to say something else. Prey sucked. I don't give a crap what you say. You can spin it and create mental gymnastics all day long, do backflips on my head. I don't care. I don't believe it. It's dumb. If there's one subject I know about is the Comanches. My grandmother was, so don't try to tell me. Okay? I know what my heritage is. And that was not Comanches from the 1700s. Oh, they didn't have horses yet. Why were they in the background on the movie? Why weren't they hunting with them? Why were they walking around on foot? Comanches rarely left their horse. When was the horse introduced to them? Well, I don't know. Go look at Wikipedia and get some kind of overview bullcrap explanation that somebody typed up, or you can go and read from scholars and historians that did lots of research on them, or talk to people who are part Comanche, because there's hardly any full-blooded Comanches at all left. But I can tell you right now, a lot of historians believe that it could have been as early as the 1500s that they got the horse from the Spaniards. Spaniards were all over this place in the 1500s. That was a game changer for the Comanche and for the Lakota, or the Sioux as they're called derogatorily, and then, you know, the Cheyenne. Those three groups in particular were horse people. They rarely left their horse. They hunted on their horses. So this predator comes down from space. He's this uber badass, and he can't beat a 90-pound woman. Not taking away from women being able to do stuff, but I'm not buying it. Comanche warriors were really powerful. They were called by the settlers the Cossacks of the plains. Cossacks were a warrior people from Europe who literally were so powerful, but they were just nomadic. They didn't care to settle down, and just they would move from place to place, from the Ural to the Caucasus region, encompassing part of Ukraine and Russia and Georgia. And what they did, they actually sacked Istanbul. Constantinople was taken over by the Turks, and I can't remember the exact year. You can go look it up. I'm sure you can find the information. I've read books about them. They sacked Constantinople and absconded with the treasure. They were Black Sea pirates, and they were horse people. And what they essentially are Vikings that just settled in that region and said, we like it here. We're just going to stay. It's a lot cool. It's a lot warmer here than where we're from. So we're just going to kill everybody around us and just take it over. And then they had influxes of Germanic blood and Celtic blood that just kind of intermingled. And it just kind of stayed. There's Slovak blood mixed in too, but there's a strong Northern European bloodline there. They're an anomaly in that region too, just like the Hungarians. Their closest relatives are the Finnish. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, I could tell you, but, the Comanches were no slouches, it just seems very unbelievable. And then they had the French, like, oh, they're bad guys, these evil Frenchmen came in. Let me tell you something. I'm not French, but the French do get a bad rap, and it's not really correct, because let's just go back to recent history really quickly, and this won't take a whole long time. But what do you think happened when the Germans pushed the French and the British into the ocean at Dunkirk? The British left, I think, 134,000 pounds of armor. They fled. The French covered their retreat. The French lost 42,000 soldiers while the British ran. And they managed to retreat and go to their little island nation, and the French get no credit for that at all. Oh, they threw their guns down and they gave up, blah blah blah. Not what happened. And the British sunk the Spanish Armada too, right? Not what happened. A storm did. I'm not bagging on the British. I'm just saying there's this air of invincibility around them that's not deserved. I mean, it's not true. Tough, yeah. I mean, they're tough. I mean, we had to fight for our independence with them. I mean, they were no slouches, but come on, dude. The French get all the bad rap. The French and Indian War was called the French and Indian War because it was called that from the British perspective, because they were fighting the French and the Indians, the Huron, the Algonquin, the Delaware. They were all allies to the French. Do you realize that the English did not have a large number of allies? It was predominantly the Mohawk who had a beef with those other natives. The French had a lot of native ties, very strong native ties. The Comanche traded with the French. They were not enemies with the French or the Germans. They actually got along with them very well. They were known to be very friendly with them. The Anglos, not so much. The Mexicans, not so much. The Comanches hated the Mexicans and hated the Anglos. And together they just called them Tejano. Regardless, I mean, they didn't like them. They had battled with Mexico in 1836. There were less than 5,000 Mexicans living in the state of Texas, which is the land that encompasses the state of Texas. There's a reason for that. One word, Comanche. The Lipan, the Apaches that the Comanches encountered, they just the Tonkawa and the Karankawa, they were just completely bullied and just harassed by the Comanches. Were just mean. The Kiowa were their allies. The only allies that they claimed here in Texas were the Kiowa. Kiowa were badasses too. Kiowa had a wolf and a crow as their totem, and a cat, black cat. The Comanches didn't adhere to any of that. They were just nomadic. That's it. The movie Prey, I thought, was poorly researched, and I thought it was agenda-driven garbage. That's what I think. I think it was a cash grab. I don't think it was good. I mean, there are people that were just arguing with me on Facebook. Oh, this is great. She could totally do that. Yeah, dude. Sure. Susie Smith says, I'm just happy that the industry actually hired natives for the acting parts. So there you go. I mean, that's one, you can say that's Susie, and we're friends, Susie. I know you like the movie, but being is actually like my blood. I have Comanche in me. I just kind of took offense to it because it just didn't, and I'm not going like, oh, I'm woke, ooh, what is it called? When people take your culture, what do they call it? Appropriate or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm not crying. Okay. What I'm talking about is it just wasn't a believable scenario. The French wouldn't have been putting Comanches in cages for one. I mean, there wouldn't have been this humongous pack of Frenchmen running around down there at that time, first of all. Okay. It just wouldn't have happened because they wouldn't have been in their same region. They were just small little parties of them that hunted. And then they come up on this scene with all these dead buffalo, and this is in the 1700s. You realize that they were using flintlock muskets, right? They weren't buffalo hunting rifles. Now, in the 1860s, 1870s, you would have come up on scenes like that. There were pictures of men standing on mounds of buffalo skulls, but not in the 1700s. And the French wouldn't have been like, hey, we said, let's put them in the cage. Parlez-vous français? We so bad. Oh, that's a bunch of crap. That's bull crap. I don't believe it. It's not how it worked. The Spaniards, on the other hand, were pretty brutal, and that's my heritage too. So I got to be honest. Let's just be honest. The Comanches were brutal. The Spaniards were brutal. It is what it is. I mean, let's just be honest. They did a lot of not good things, It is, just everybody's people did. But I think the French got a bad rap, and in that movie, that was pretty crappy, considering that they were the one European group that actually had very good ties with the natives. French, oftentimes, there were stories of the Lakota and the Cheyenne and all these different warrior tribes letting Frenchmen go because they were known to be very generous and they traded with them. Watch the movie Last of the Mohicans. I know it's a movie, but it is a little more historically accurate when Natty Bumpel would have been the guy's name, but they called him Hawkeye or whatever his name was. Daniel Day-Lewis's character. He says, he's talking to one of the natives, and the native says, well, we'd rather deal with the French because they're giving us, gold rather than wampum, whiskey, and tobacco. They're not trying to, the English were trying to, the Yankees, as they called them, they were trying to give them, garbage, crap, get them drunk, whatever. And the French weren't doing that. The French were like giving them fair trade, silver, beaver pelts, and trading, the trades were even. giving them horses, things like that. You know, they were the French that came here were very, they were more humble, and they were definitely, you know, that they just, that wasn't correct for them to do that in that movie. I know who makes these movies, okay, and I know why they do what they do. It's an agenda. I get it. And one day, you're all going to suffer and pay for all the sin that you've brought into this world. For all the lies and the misinformation and disinformation, everything you've done. It's truth. Because we can't get a solid... If I went out right now and tried to make a solid movie about true history and really honestly, truthfully tried to make it, they would not allow it. They would never see the light of day. I could be Elon Musk. Elon Musk couldn't do it. In fact, I challenge you, Elon Musk, to take your billions and billions of dollars and make a historically accurate movie. I bet you anything and everything in the entire universe that I could ever possibly own that you could not do it. The book was good too. Yeah, Mr. Wilson, definitely. I did. Propaganda Hollywood always makes Russia evil, the part of the MK Ultra. Yeah. Everybody thinks that it's pretty cut and dry, right? These are the bad guys, and these are the good guys, right? It's real cut and dry. But it's not. What they like to do is mix and match and play kingmaker, and they like to tell you, they set the narrative, okay, and tell you what history is so that when they dump some garbage out there, they spoon feed it to you. And you're like, oh, this is great. This is exact, because you're not going to question any of it because you've been spoon fed it since the day you were born. Telling you, the world isn't the way you think it is. Carrie says, what is it called when a person's spirit goes back body to body, like possessing another body? That's a good question, Carrie. I'm not real sure if anybody has an answer to that. Overbuilt motor, yep, you're absolutely right. Oh, Adam Jinx said it right there, just like the news, yep. That's why I love you. I'm going to be gone for a while. I don't know how long. I'm hoping that I will return, you know, but I love you. I really do. I love my PRT family. I love my people. You're smart. Some of the smartest. It's been my honor to be here on Tuesdays, and I feel privileged to be able to sit here and talk to you guys every Tuesday because you're so intelligent. I have the smartest audience. I'm telling you right now. You get it. I opened my mind up and you guys could see it. Somebody told me one day in one of my many critics, they were like, you tell too many people about your personal whatever, no, you know? And I was like, how is my audience supposed to relate to me? To really, really dig deep into these subjects and to understand. And am I supposed to put myself out there? I could be a fake robot voice and tell you, hey, everything's great. Yeah, I'm a therapist. And I could do that. I could put on a big show and pretend. I am a generous God. I put on a fake robot voice and I tell stories that aren't true with people that just, and I change it around to fit a narrative. Yeah. Unlike the cruel Josh Turner that asks you to tell the truth, I ask only that you kneel. Spew forth some BS. Tito says, have an awesome conference and please be safe. I'm hoping that we're safe. I hope everything goes off without a hitch. Oh, I get it. Carrie says it's what they did in the movie The Skeleton Key. I remember that movie. That was a freaky movie. But, folks, I hope that I reached people. I hope that you enjoyed the show. I hope that you enjoyed everything that we've done so far. And, I hope that everybody, you know, we stay together. We'll be back. Hopefully. You know, don't go running off. There's so many things I wanted to do with this show. You know, there's just so many things I wanted to accomplish. I think we accomplished some of them. I enjoyed being here. I don't know. I hope that I inspired some people to research. Don't just buy the narrative. Folks, you're living in a matrix. I wish I could give you more of myself, to show you more, to make you understand. So, anyways, folks, I guess I'm going to head out. I appreciate everyone who was in the chat tonight. Thank you for coming on and listening to my guests and the people that talked before the guests that are going to be at the conference. We'll see what happens. The conference could be my final hurrah. I don't know. I'm 90% sure I'm going to do something. I just don't know what. And how much time I'm going to have. But I really enjoyed it because y'all really are the best audience. I mean, just smart people. And I enjoyed a lot of the conversations I've had with many of you outside of the show. So many interesting people with stories to tell. I'm just sad. Because I'm gonna be gone for a while, and like I said, I'm hoping that we'll come back. But time and money, and it is what it is. Thank you, Monica, for that donation. Thank you for everybody who's supported the show and helped us get to where we're at. I really enjoyed Ken, Christian, says I love the show. We love you. It's been nice. And so, like I said, I have to go, and I don't know for how long. And so, just keep searching. Keep looking for the truth. Just, pray for each other. Be kind to each other. Have each other's back. And know that I really did care. I really do. I really cared. I tried to do the right thing. I tried to fight the good fight. It just seems like you're outnumbered by the bastards till the day you die. It's just, it is what it is. So, everybody that's been a part of my life for the past 3 years, we'll see what happens at the conference. Because if there's any way I can keep going, I will. And but at this time, I just can't see it happening but it's unfortunate. Also, if you listen to me on the other platforms, we're not going to be there anymore. I might jump on YouTube. Who knows if I get time or whatever, but we won't be dropping anything on any of the other platforms. It'll only be YouTube. So if you want to find me on YouTube. Everybody's like, when are you coming back to whatever Spotify? I made nothing from them. And they make it very hard to get anything out of it. Like, you're working for free. And when you get to a certain point, you have to weigh, like, how much further can I go for free? And limiting commercials and limiting the ads. Because I did all of that because I wanted people to hear what I had to say. It was more important to me than making money, and it still is. I promise you. So it's never about money. I just have to weigh what I need to do for myself and my business. And I can't go on the way it is now. So, anyways, thank you, everybody. Hopefully see you guys at the conference. JG72 says, love the show, would hate to see it go. Yeah, me too. I'm just, this is going to be our last live stream, though, for a while. And, like I said, we're not doing any more Friday podcasts. We have no plans. We have no plans to do any more Friday podcasts. But never say never. Like I said, pray that the conference goes well. Maybe I can recoup part of my, whatever, and maybe I can find some sort of financial middle ground to take off, do this. But if you're a Patreon member, I appreciate everything you've done for us or whatever, and we'll see what happens. And I'll be sure and send anybody who still is a Patreon member, I'll send you something, don't worry. See, and Blues says, don't quit, just make the show paid exclusive. See, the problem with that is when you start making people pay you to do this, then you lose your credibility, because it's like, oh, you're just doing it for the money, and then people don't listen. It's like this double-edged sword. You have to, it's just hard. I don't like, thank you for that donation, Felix Garnett. You're another one. I'll miss you all. All right, guys. Like I said, just remember this. If and when I come back, if I get this break I need, and then I'm able to just financially continue with this, I'll do the best I can, to try to, bring you, like always, bring you the best. But if it doesn't work out and I don't come back to do the show, you'll probably see me around on other shows, and I am going to be writing a book. I'm already doing it. So, So if the show doesn't go on anymore and I don't come back, but you just remember how much I did really care. And I really did. I really cared about all of you. I always tell people, I always brag, I say I have the smartest audience. They're the smartest people. They get it. You listen. And hopefully you learn something. And I learned from interacting with all of you. Okay? Good night. I hope to see many of you at the conference.